BBC presenting days, what was your absolute highlight?
I would say Shah Rukh is probably my highlight.
Sitting next to me is the BBC Asian Network's Tommy Sandhu.
Broadcaster Tommy Sandhu.
Amitabh Bachchan, as he said to me in that interview, he was broke, bankrupt. Let me take Shah Rukh first. He's the Michael Jackson of Bollywood. The second richest man in entertainment. If I saw him at an event, like, and the cameras were on, he just stopped. He went, "Hey, Tommy, come here." And he held my hand. He goes, "How are you?" At the end of it, he goes, "Are we done?" He goes, "No." And he looked around at the cameras. He went, "Now, why can't Indian broadcasters be like him?" But bruv, I've been doing it 25 years. I've been a presenter since I was 21. I'm 46. This is all I know. I love it.
But then this day comes and then somebody picks up the phone and says, "You've been suspended." What's really going on behind the curtains?
It's horrible because everything went quickly. One show, travel show, Radio 2, Asian Network, bang, all your salary gone. And I was sat like this with the BBC boss. He went, "Tommy, we're going to let you go." Your whole world. So what you just think is an app on a phone is now being used to judge my entire character. Not the 10 years I've been at the BBC, not the fact that I've never upset anyone, there's no complaints, there's no staff member even to this day that went, "Tommy done me wrong." And then somebody leaked it to the Daily Mail that I'd been suspended, which is not true. And then the headline said, "Suspended for homophobic, racist and lewd comments in a WhatsApp group."
Welcome back to Take a Seat. This is a channel that I've created to foster and inspire the next generation. I believe something that can really affect you from make or break is confidence. And today I have a guest who has bags of that. He's been around stars such as Anil Kapoor, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Alia Bhatt. He's got his own podcast. He's a stand-up comedian, and you probably see him presenting awards as well. So please welcome Tommy Sandhu.
That's a good intro. That's probably one of the best intros I've ever had. And I work with people. Well, mind you, I don't really get interviewed a lot, so you don't get an intro. Yeah. But that was my. So I like that intro. That's good. You got the name checks in. See, it catches people's attention. Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan. It's like, oh, hello. Ooh. Is he friends with them? Yeah. Add to that Johnny Depp. Add to that Will Smith. Jeez. Add to that anyone from music. Yeah, but look, we've got to meet them all. But I'm just the guy that's around them. But it's nice to hear it back. It makes you kind of go, oh yeah, man. Amongst this kind of journey of doing podcasts and radio shows and live events, you get to meet some celebrities along the way. So yeah, thank you, Sean. Yeah. And thanks for having me here. And it's nice to meet you because this is our first proper meeting.
Yep.
But we're social media friends.
Hopefully it's not the last.
And I can generally, I'm in admiration of you because I was like, this guy's doing his property stuff. He's doing his podcast stuff. Even this, recording, the setup, the lighting, the editing, the reels, the Instagram, the social media. It's a full-time job promoting your full-time job. So I get that.
Wow, man.
Well done for doing it.
Do you know what? You give that energy right back. And I love
true.
that. Like, you're very humble about that. So what's it like being on the other side?
It's all right. It's all right with me. We're bumbling along. I think, weirdly, with moments like this, when you do an interview like this, you sort of stop. And even from last night when I knew I was doing this morning, I was thinking, what am I going to say? So kind of, and it stops you. Like I say, when I mean it stops you kind of from, you're not doing anything now. What I'm doing is I'm thinking about everything I've done. Does that make sense? It's a bit like when you're getting an award. Makes you reflect on, oh, where am I at? So right now being here on this side with you asking the questions, it's like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Where is it going?
Yes.
And all the many different things we've touched upon speaking before the podcast started that I am doing. You kind of go, how's it all come together? But you don't really know. You're just bumbling along, and we're just trying to make sense of it.
Do you think it's different when you have the spotlight on you? Like, do you like having the spotlight on someone else and like you're like more in the background and just like directing them and that's your sort of job? Is it different when you're the one in the spotlight?
Well, I suppose when you're a presenter, you're kind of in the spotlight. We're sharing the lights here together, right? You're in my light with you, much as I don't appreciate it, Sean, I'd rather you keep out of my way. Right. So you're kind of there. But on that note, what I always pick up on presenting is it's your job to sort of facilitate the spotlight. So the idea is to kind of go, right, well, here is Alia Bhatt. She's an amazing Bollywood actress and star, very famous family. So you kind of do that. So you want to make your bit minimal in a way, because if it's you and Alia Bhatt here, chances are, Sean, they're not really looking at you. They're waiting to hear what Alia is saying. But I like that. I like the facilitator element of presenting. So I always say you're a facilitator to conversation. You're a facilitator to good vibes on the radio, playing the music. you're not the guy. I'm not the guy singing. I'm not the guy dancing. I'm the guy in the middle. So my job is to kind of go, here's a song. Here's another great song. And by the way, I saw this. Ha, 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 ha. Hilarious. Or, oh, wow. Clever or poignant. Or, oh, makes you think. Or, oh, that's one for the kids. I'm going to tell that to my mum and my dad. Or, whatever it might be. So information and then get out. So when I was on the radio, it's about getting in and getting out quickly, like keeping it minimal. Because I always found, as he says, waffling along, presenters that waffle on too much, people lose interest. Yeah. So it's about keep getting that pace right and getting that balance right of what you're doing. So you get to share the limelight, and I will look better. I will come across as a better presenter, broadcaster, host if I keep it minimal.
Yeah.
So because
totally
I hear you watch TV, you see some people who are inexperienced doing long questions, and they'll go, so like, when you do this and I do like this and and they kind of lose the question in it. You can be a lot short and sharper. You're normally the presenter. How's it feel being the guest? You bang and you're out. But look, I'm saying that to you. I waffle as well because I'm a rambler and I use my hands and it's too much. And sometimes you have to be quiet. What about this? What about, particularly if you're doing like newsy sort of stuff and you want to get straight to it? So yeah, it's different disciplines.
But what I do notice about you, even if you do ramble on, you're quite entertaining. You know, you
so.
do a little dance, or you'll do a little sing, or you just chuck a little joke in there that you're just like, whoa, did he say that? But it creates a reaction. And I think like the human brain works with a lot of psychology. If it doesn't see a change within 3 seconds, a different camera angle or something different happening, we do lose, concentration on what we're looking at.
It's like positions in the bedroom. You have to mix it up, Sean. If you rely on one move, that move might have worked for you for like some time. So you can't rely on it. You got to try and put your foot on the headboard.
My mum's watching this.
Yeah, so is mine. So is mine. So are my sisters. But this is why it's important to be you, Sean. You got to be true. Yeah. You got to be true to yourself.
Tell us about that. Like, because we come from an Asian culture.
Yeah.
There's, there's different rules for boys and girls.
Yeah.
Double
standards.
Your sisters might be arranged marriage, but you might have
been
able to a little bit more freedom, like all that culture. And then, certain like subjects are very like taboo. Like you can't actually be yourself. Like sometimes you're in a party and you're like, hello, Sasrika ji, Sasrika, Tiko. And you're like,
you're not even Sikh.
The little
you're like, why are you speaking like that? Yeah. Like, why are you putting that voice on? No, I know what you mean. You're right. It's weird. Actually, I've got 2 older sisters, so I don't come up from a Boise house. So I've never been in a fight in my life. I don't really follow football that much. I like West Ham because they're my local side. We used to live near East Ham near the ground. You could always hear them all your life. So that's become the local team. But I don't go to the pub. I don't drink anymore. So I'm not a ladsy lad like that. I did drama and performing arts. I did flamenco at A level. Do you know what I mean? So I was like a little brown Billy Elliot in East London, like Bollywood Elliot. Bolly Elliot is what my name would be. So dancing around and all that. But this, I forgot what you said now. You said about the double standards. My sisters said to me when I was growing up, they went, look, you're going to have a different experience to us. Mum and dad are going to be a lot more strict on us than they are on you. And we're not going to be the kind of, one of my sisters said this on behalf of the other sister. She says, we're not going to be the kind of sisters that go, well, that's not fair. You didn't let us go out, but you're letting Tommy go out. So at 16, I could go out and have more freedom than they had at 21, 22. Like my oldest sister's 6 years older than me. The other one's 4 years older than me. I had more freedom at 16, 17, 18. I definitely had more freedom, like in terms of not getting harassed about going out. But ultimately, your parents are protective over their daughters. That's what it is. The daughters are special. Daughters are the queens, the princesses of the house. So it's like, we don't want anything happening there. Men are kind of left to be a little bit more like, if he kind of messes up a bit, screws up a bit, it doesn't tarnish his reputation as bad. And that's sad that it's those double standards. But what was nice was my sister recognized it. She goes, look, there are double standards. That's just the way it is. Just don't take the, can I say pee? Yeah. Just don't take the piss. She goes, don't take the piss out, mum and dad. Don't abuse that freedom that you have. And that will then allow them, that was my sisters, to not feel like, look at this idiot. He's doing what he thinks and we're just restricted. So yeah, you're right. But I think a bit like business, Sean, and you know about this, you got to be in the now. You got to know what's going on in the market. Culturally, humor-wise, you got to know what's going on in your world. And we stop and we look around and we analyze the way in which men and women are treated differently, or the way in which age ranges, or what culturally, what the youngsters are doing now versus what I was doing, and how we went on a dating route versus now and apps and whatever. You just pick up on it. You look at it. So I think if it's true, if, like you saying, like, we've got to switch things up, my mind instantly goes to sex positions, right? In a naughty way. So you go, yeah, switch it. So, but that's a true, I'm not trying to spoon that in. That's just my creative way of thinking, or stupid way of thinking, or childish way of thinking, or silly way of thinking, or juvenile, or ladsy, whatever you want to call it. I find it funny, right? So I'm going to say it. And other people find it funny. And I've done that for 20 odd years. So it's about that balance. But then I say this to other people. I said, I'm quite outrageous, even not outrageous, like rude, disrespectful, but with my sisters, with my mum, me, all our life, even silly little things like you've been framed, people falling over, catching their trousers, something it rips off, all that stuff. Me, my mum, my sisters, we've been watching all our life. So our humor is a bit sort of cheeky and naughty. We come from a big family, loud people. We've got, a grandma that used to curse and swear. It's not, we're out there. No one, my granddad married 4 times, no one, we're not conforming type of people. You can't, I've always said about myself, I'm Sagittarius, I'm half man, half horse, right? You can't put a saddle on me. I'm going to kick, I'm wild and I'm trying to be free. I'm going to be myself. If you tell me, no, this is the way, well, this is just the way it is, Tommy, I'll be like, nah, we got to think freer than that. We've got to think more open than that. So, yeah.
So what if somebody's sitting at home right now, quite serious with their mum and dad, occasionally a little bit of a joke with one of their parents, it's a little bit more serious atmosphere. Occasionally there'll be a little bit of comedy on, a rude scene comes on, change it and all of this. And then, how would you say change that diversity to create more fun in the house and more love into that house?
Mate, I'm with you. My in-laws are like that, right? How you said, it's the awkwardness of it and all that. And I remember I went round when I first met my missus, and actually I met her sister on a night out with her friends. I was with a group of guys, and one of my mates it was his fiance, was friends with the sister who introduced me. So my arranged marriage, as it were, came through my sister-in-law, because she saw me and she was like, he'd be right for her sister, and then set us up, phone numbers exchanged. But when I went round, they had a formal sort of setup. I went to the lounge. My parents sent me on my own. I can't believe that. When I still think back of it, they sent me on my own to meet my future wife. I went, yeah, don't worry, you go on. Because they know this is what I do. I chitter-chat, and I chitter-chat with anyone. But it was an L-shaped sofa like this, and my father-in-law was there, and I was sat further away. I remember sitting the whole time like that, talking to him, and my neck was killing me. But he was grilling me. He was asking me, what about this, and what do you do for work, and this wise and property wise, and this, all that. And it was a formal setup, but that's a serious house. They're religious, they're vegetarian, the whole family. So it is different to me. But, bro, I go all out. I tie my t-shirt in a little knot. I bump and grind with my father-in-law. If he's in bed and I've come round because he does night shifts and things like that, I'll just get in bed with him. I don't care, because I know where it comes from me. I'm not trying to crack onto my father-in-law. I wouldn't do it with my mother-in-law. Don't get me wrong. There is a line. I wouldn't just get into bed with now that you say that, I'd probably get away with it, but I just wouldn't, just because I think that is a little bit too far. And my wife rolls her eyes. She's like, what are you, why do you always have to take it that one stage further? I'm like, otherwise, you know what, bruv? I'm going to die one day. We all are.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go, well, I flew half-hearted. I stayed in the middle of the lane. Yeah. I kept to the speed limit. No, I'm going to push it a little bit. I have to. Otherwise, for me, I can't do missionary all my life.
Makes sense, bro. I like that. Honestly, that little bit of change.
You have to.
Something you mentioned there earlier on is, obviously we come from different generations.
Yep.
And things have moved
All right,
on.
Sean, you're not that much younger, but technically, you are. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 37 now, bro.
Okay, I'm 40. I'm going to be 47 in a week.
Okay.
Or so 10 years. I don't think that makes us different generations, Sean. I think that makes me like...
No, yeah.
10 years. No, you're right. I'm uncle territory. Yeah, I'm 10 years older than my nephew. Some of my...
Borderline.
Yeah.
You're pulling it in, bro. You're pulling it
in.
Just about.
Okay.
But where do you do your research? So obviously you're presenting still, you're still telling jokes, you see Antia, you see the new gen come up. Yep. Like, how do you know what's funny? How do you know what's in the topic? How do you know where they're looking, what sort of things they're interested in? How can you relate to them?
No, I don't think, and I've always thought, on that note, I don't think you should look to how do I phrase this? It's almost like don't look to please them, and that goes with everyone in relationships, anything. If I try and find a joke for Sean, that's not going to work. I got to find jokes for me, and then whoever that attracts, it attracts. And if it doesn't, then guess what? It means I'm crap. Quentin Tarantino said it. He said, I don't make films for specific audiences. I make specific films. So I've got to just be me, specific Tommy, who is a little bit cheeky. He's a married man. He's got kids, but he kind of talks a little bit about shagging and, you know, poo or size of willies or things like that. Things a little bit outrageous, you know, whatever, plays on words, you know, messes with language, songs. Those are all the things that I like. I find those funny. I find it entertaining, right? I'm smirking now. I'm about to do my 1 hour special, first ever comedy special in December of this year. First time ever. I've just, you know, because I've built up all my silliness. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see the pattern of it now. So you pick things up along the way. But and I've realized over time then my audience tends to be generally sort of over 30s. So it's people that are married, people that can relate with having in-laws, having kids maybe, or young kids, you know, the dynamics of a relationship, Desi background, British background, having that kind of fusion. So you want to be true. Any musician who makes music should be true to what they want to make. If you try and market music, I don't know, you might be successful if you've got the formula down and things like that to market cool music, but I don't believe in that. I think, particularly now, after being sacked from the BBC and all that, and it sort of throws you back and you go, okay, what am I doing? What is this about? And weirdly, Sean, now I'm at a stage where I just kind of go, I just don't care anymore. I don't care. The things that you should care about are like, you know, your kids, your health, your family well-being, your mum and dad, spirituality, or where you fit into the world and being good to people. Those are the things I think that matter. Outside of that, be cheeky, be playful, don't be rude. I'm not here to go, oh, sure, look at you. I don't do that kind of humor, or, you know, like physical humor. People get people in headlocks. Anyway, bro. Yeah, you know, you look great anyway. But, you know, like, some people want to go in on people, or, you know, or get their kicks from making other people feel a bit crappy. I don't believe that. I think we celebrate, we self-mock, we be cheeky, we be a little bit rude, and find, I like weird analogies. It's a bit like, and you're like, no, and you know, I'll have friends go, it's nothing like that, Tommy. How have you drawn that comparison to that situation? But I think you just got to be you. And if you've got something to say, and I clearly have, you know, if you've got something inside you that has to perform, loves being on stage, you get that buzz from people, you get that buzz from a laugh. And then it's nice, you know, when you look at the audiences, you see the kind of 30-year-olds and plus, but then you also get 20-odd-year-olds and go, bruv, you is proper funny, innit? You're sick, innit? You're sick, bruv. I tell you, mans, you bust proper jokes. And you go, thank you very much. Well done.
Yeah. So what do you do when you do tell a joke? And probably you're going to say, well, that never happens to me, but you tell a joke or do something and you don't get a reaction. You just see this blank face looking at you.
No, it does happen.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it does happen because you get, because you're trying out new sort of stuff, or you kind of go, oh, is there something in, Tals, I don't know. I'm thinking the tray. Is there only like a tray? You know, the different compartments. Oh, maybe I'll mention that. And you mention it, and as soon as you say it, you're like, oh no, it was sort of something else in my head. I don't know. It didn't quite work. But then you know from the creative process of watching, I don't know, even if you, with all these documentaries, you see how people write songs in studios or even write jokes or plays and stories, and how certain shows come about and then disappear, and the writers behind. So we're all just in a creative process. I don't think you should be too hard on yourself. Because I'm a presenter, because we do radio and have done radio for so long, you're used to just carrying on. I don't do what I call dead air. Just is quite like that's killer. That 1 second there was like, I could hear it. I could hear the crickets, you know, right? And that's horrible. So what I can do, if I'm honest, is cheat it. So when I personally feel like, oh shit, this isn't going, this is just not getting the light up, or I thought that would be the funny bit. And sometimes the bit that you don't think is that funny gets more of a laugh. Or there are times where that bit does well, really well. I just tried doing this little bit about when I was out with all my black mates at university, and we'd all dance in a circle and then we spin around and just dance with a girl. And because we'd all do it, a girl would dance with you. You're like, hello? That was it. But yet, when you're with your Asian guys, you do the snake dance. I'm like, this is not cool. I'm not cooler with my black guys than I am with my fresh brown brothers, right? But I did that story in one place. It was nothing. I did another place. It was in Birmingham, and it lit up. They're laughing, and I was like, oh, what? Did I deliver it differently? Did I not? And that's why people record their comedy sets so they can listen back and go, what was it? Oh, it's because I didn't say it like that. I said it like this. Oh, I got to the punchline quicker, or I got to the reveal of what the joke was quicker, or something, whatever it might be. So I think I talk enough to glaze over it. So that's why I can cheat it. And I talk quick, I talk fast. I don't hang around. I'm not doing that setup. Some comedians do a big setup for a big joke. Then you're running a risk. Whereas I don't do big jokes. I go, ha ha, hee hee, oh, ha ha, see you later. That's it. And that's also what I'm like in bed.
And a little nudge when you start.
And a little nudge. Hey, distract him. Oh, hey, see you later. And I'm out of shot.
One thing that's always pondered like my brain a little bit. How do you remember your whole, all your jokes?
Sections? Yeah, you have it all in sort of sections. It's a bit like chapters in a book, I suppose. That's how even now I'm approaching this, doing the 1 hour special. So I think, okay, yeah, that's that bit at the start. Crowd interaction maybe is 10 minutes. Oh, then I'm going to go into couples relationships. That's 15 minutes. I'm talking about mum, dads and mum, dad, mother-in-law. That's another 15 minutes. Oh, all of a sudden you're up to 40 minutes. Okay, then we might switch it. Okay, you've got to think of the pace. How you're going to manage that hour. What's it going to do? It can't just be like, it can't be one, you got to do the night and shade. You got to ride it. You got to have it as like a film. It isn't just all action sequence. It's not all love sequences, not those kind of films. And then, you want to mix it up. You want a bit of dishum, you want a bit of this, bit of that. So it comes in kind of sections. And I roughly with a 1 hour, I do it in 20 minutes, so I know 20, 20, 20. But also to keep people's attention span, because they're gonna drift. So you got to switch it. You got to take it down a gear. You got to show, particularly in an hour special, you got to show a bit more human side, not just silly buggers. Whereas when I'm hosting comedy shows, which is what I mainly do, you do 5-10 minutes at the top, silliness, playfulness, celebration of the people in the audience. Then you get a comedian on, and then and depending on their style and energy, you'll come off the back of that either a bit more mellow and pick it back up, or you'll carry on the hype and maybe mellow it down, depends whatever they're like. And again, coming back to your initial question about when you're on this side of it, again, by being a host of a comedy show, I'm facilitating the other comedians. I like that. I like the fact I'm going to tee it up for this guy to come on, and I know he's a bit more reserved, so I won't finish on a because that's going to be too weird to go from that to, like this one guy from India, this comedian I'm thinking of, but his delivery is very straight, very quiet. And he'll come out, well, hello everybody. This is pretty much me feeling very excited right now. But that's his style. And that instantly gets a laugh because it's so mellow. But I can either go hyper and then make that really stand out, if that works, or I keep it a bit more mellow and bring him on and let him do his thing. So how do you remember it? You just work with it, you feel it. And that's why you got to be in the now. You got to be awake, got to be alert, you got to be sharp, got to feel good, got to go gym, got to be hydrated. All those silly little things that people forget, that affects your performance.
So how do you really prepare? Like you're about to go out, there's maybe, 200 to 500 people in front of you, all these faces ready to look at you. A lot of people would never even step on that stage to grab a mic and speak, and it's happened to me many of times. Like, public speaking has been such a big fear for me. Okay. Like,
that's interesting because you don't, there's nothing for you to fear. Like you come across so well that I'm surprised by that.
Well, it's just me and you and a few cameras, I've grown to this now. So I've got used to here. But the public speaking gets me every time. And so I relate to you when you told me about, how you prepare for a 1 hour, a comedy skit, etc. Because that's how I sort of prepare with a 1 hour talk in front of property guys. So it's like, hey, introduce yourself. Hey, 10 minutes on my story. Then let's talk about one of the strategies. Then have a little Q&A. So you break it up into sectors. It's the same pattern sort of thing.
And I always say, know you're in and know you're out. Someone said this to me years ago. It's like, know how you're going to start, know how you're going to finish. The rest of the stuff in the middle is fine. So you can kind of, you've got your questions about this or question about that, or you're going to take it there. But if you know how it kind of wraps up and if you know how it kind of starts, and then that kind of bookends the whole thing and it holds it all together. So That's important to have.
Do you have any like rituals or anything you do before you go on stage or prepare? Like, do you even get nerves?
Not nerves like that. Look, you got to remember, we've been doing it a long time. Yeah. My dad pushed me and my sisters into drama. Pushed us. Like, he didn't push us into science, but he said, you got to be able to speak in public, Tommy. He goes, and you got to be able to dance. Right? Because he said, but having, and I get what he means. If you have a physical awareness of your body, dancing ability, you will not move in an awkward way. And I've seen people move in awkward ways and it's just, or they don't quite know how to sit, you know, and it's just like, oh, you're just not giving off that relaxed vibe. Yeah. Well, by the way, when dancers sit, they sit amazingly. Their torsos are like that because their core strength is amazing. I don't sit upright, bolt upright like that. But so we've been pushing the drama. So I've been in school plays since I was 7 years old. You know, I was a prefect, I'm head boy, I was president of my students' union. So I was always speaking in public, always performing in all the school plays, touring plays, local drama company. I was part of Redbridge Drama Centre as well. I even during my A-levels, I worked for them and ran sessions for younger kids. So being in the public, you know, even when you do have to do work experience, 14, 15 years old, yes. I rung up the work experience people to say, oh, you know, we all had to do it. They give you the phone number. The company was called Trident. I remember that. Yeah. And you ring them up to say, you know, hi, I'm looking for work experience. And they went, okay. And it would be part of your responsibility. But the woman on the phone said, you've got a nice voice. That's the first time my voice got recognized. She goes, wow. Why don't you come in and work for us, getting other people work experience? So all of a sudden, I'm dealing like we're trying to sort my mate Toby out with work experience because I've got his CV and I'm ringing up employers to try and get him in. So that was the first time my voice got recognized. And then radio and then the voiceovers and all the other things that came from it. I'm like, oh, look at that. But and then in all the school plays, I was a narrator. So I never got the acting role. I got the narrator role. Again, the narrator, a bit like the presenter, a bit like the host of a podcast. You're the guy in the middle. You're not the guy who's acting. You're not the person singing the songs on the radio. You're the guy in between. So I quite like that about my life. I like and I've realized also, just even with business, recently I only realized about the last year or two, I was like, oh, things work better for me. I'm more successful in business or with property when I'm working with others to make things happen rather than I'm just going to go do it on my own. It's something about when I'm kind of with others and I'm kind of in the middle and I'm doing a little bit of back and forth. Using my skills. I'm not saying I'm there just doing the admin or sending the letters out. I'm saying using my skills to communicate. So right now we're doing a property development, but it's my job to do all the speaking to the councillors, speaking to the parish council, speaking to the local residents, speaking to the former owners of the building that we have, you know, putting together a strategy of the planning permission and what we're going for. I love that. I love just being somewhere in the middle. So I don't get nervous because I just think nerves don't exist. It's just made up in your head. It's very real in your head. I'm not saying it's not real, but I'm saying is you've created it. Yeah. So you can uncreate it. And I'm not saying you even should uncreate it. A little bit of nerves is good. A little bit of anxiety is good. A little bit of fear is good. You got to go, shit, this might all go wrong. You might dry up, Sean. You might not have another question. You might run through your questions really quickly and go, I've got nothing. But that's when you got to relax and go, I'm Sean Land. I'm fine. I can hold a conversation for an hour. Tommy can chat. We'll be fine. And sometimes you can overthink things, overplan things going into it, and maybe never even get round to it for that reason. I've got so many guy friends who never got onto the property ladder. People that are my age and older, 50 years old. And they never did it because at 21, 22, 23, 24, when they could have done it, or 27, 28, 29, when they could have done it again, or 34, 35, they could have done it again. They were like, yeah, but I've heard this. Yeah, but I heard that rates might go up. Yeah, but I heard there was a crash. Yeah, but can we trust the banks? Yeah, but I'm waiting for the... And it's fine. You know, with hindsight, I know it's easy for us to say, oh no, you should have just bitten the bullet and gone. But we were saying it then. I said, just trust me. I said, if you know, you're only buying a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom flat in whatever area, you can't really mess up. Even if the rates go up a bit, your mortgage will go up by this much, you're earning, chip in, pay that. That's it. And then you're moving on. And actually, their lives would have been so different. Two very close people to me. Their lives would have been so different by just making basic moves. So no, my thing is don't waste time being scared. Like, yeah, life's, and it's going to end. And bruv, how many horrible things do you hear about, you know, people suddenly waking up and they're not well anymore. They got this problem or something else happens. You're like, you got to live like it's going to be taken away tomorrow.
So I'm going to be a little bit selfish here.
Please.
And say something a little bit about my experience. And like right now, we're sort of on a way where, we're sort of doing the same things. You're obviously doing a lot bigger things, but I'm on my way to, I like being in front of the camera. I like speaking to people, conversating. I like teaching people certain things, and I like collaborating with other influencers, etc.
Yeah.
But my background has been totally different. I don't know if you can see here, nose broken, stabs, like,
Oh, really?
It's really bad East London.
You seem like a pussy.
Growing up.
No, I'm kidding.
And I can give that vibe off, you know what I mean? But, we've been through it. I don't know if you can see my ears were both pierced. Do you know what I mean? I used to have the gold hoops, like, because I came from that. Every day was just like, how am I going to survive today?
Sorry, you just told me you're some gangster stuff, right? Stabbed and this and that. You go, I had my ears pierced.
Yeah,
I had the gold hoops. Honey, I was fine. I was a fine gangster. Like what? That you just took it somewhere else.
Back in the day.
Right.
Well, no, I can't even say that back in the day because you're sort of from there.
No.
But in our area, like, when I came out of school, I ended up being the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'd stop my car nose to nose with somebody, get out, and I was like, fuck, bruv, like, what are you doing, bruv? Like, why don't you pull in, bruv? Ready to just rock it and fight it. And my friends in college would go, so somebody would just look at you, the look. Well, I don't know if you know the look, but someone's just looking at you and you're eyeballing that second too long. What the fuck are you looking at?
Yeah.
Let's go like that. And there'll be my friends in college. I went Newvic College in Plaster, and my friends would be like, "Sean, mate, you're so angry."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I'm not angry." And they go, "No, you're angry. You're always on a start." And I'm like, "Well, in school, if you did the same thing, you'd probably get like a WWE wrestling move done on you. Somebody would have just choke slammed you on the concrete or puff chest you, or you get spat in the back of the head when you're going for a wee. 4 or 5 guys because you said the wrong thing or because you asked a question towards the end and we got held up 5 minutes later. We couldn't get our chicken and chips because I was always inquisitive. I always knew I wanted to find out more, and I'd be the guy who'd ask the stupid questions. But the guy who asked the stupid questions later on is a lot more intelligent because he asked and go, that's a no. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Where everyone else is like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just going along with life. And because I was so inquisitive, I actually got penalized for it because I was from a really rough area. Everybody was from council estate, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it was just where we were brought up that the teachers wasn't right, that our elders weren't right. And some of my friends were like the biggest drug dealers in East London after I got to find out. And I was like, so that's who I was around. And so my confidence wasn't really good because it was always shut up and my nickname was Fat Boy. I even had to like compete on stage at 33 on bodybuilding just to say to myself in my head, I am not fat anymore. And I thought, how cruel was I? Because I had to go without water for 3 days when I was on that stage just to get every little last bit of water out, just for somebody to go, your glutes are nice, your delts are shit, you're rhomboids, you're this. How dare I allow anybody else to comment on me and my body? But I've had to go through all of these hurdles, and I'm sure a lot of the audience will be watching and go, I didn't do this because someone said this about me or made me feel like this, and now it's like an invisible cage that you're in. But one thing I've never liked is staying in there, because I was like, just ask a question in the audience. That's one step closer to speaking. And like, even just 2 weeks ago, I went to see this live podcast with this guy, Sean, and Luigi, I think his name was. My friend took me and they said, anyone ask a question? I was the first one to ask a question. And I thought I'd be okay.
Yeah.
And I've done free public speaking events this year. I've obviously prepared, and I'm not going to lie, I probably have a couple of shots before I go on because it just calms me down. But this one, I'm just sitting there. I was like, So I was like, Sean, you spoke a lot about your dad, but you have, and the next minute it was just like, and I'm like, what the hell? And I was actually going in my head, calm the fuck down. You're not doing this.
Yeah.
It was just like 100 people behind me, and I think maybe I thought about them more than me. And then I was just like, I had to take them in. I was like, and they just thought I was going to get a bit emotional because I was speaking about my mum and stuff. And then I had to say it, and I was like, why the fuck does that happen to me? But I was like, imagine, and then I put myself in shoes in person like yourself, because I look up to you and I'm like, this guy just gets on stage. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Boom, boom. I'm like, imagine I do that, and the next minute it's like, that happens again. You look like a right twat.
So for me, okay, lots to touch upon there. Firstly, you don't need a couple of drinks. I promise you. I know. Look, drink. I've stopped drinking. I've had about a handful of occasions in the last 3.5, 4 years now, nearly 4 years. 2019, January 2019. So we're nearly there now. So in 2024, it'd be 5 years. I can't add up. 5.
Be 5 years. Yeah. 2019.
No.
2023
Yeah.
now.
So when did lockdown happen? 2020.
Yes.
Yeah. So sorry, no, it was January 2020. It's gonna be 4 years.
Okay.
Right. And
Adding on years now. Man.
Huh?
You're adding on the years now.
yeah, I know, right? Exactly. But it's you realize so much about drink and what it does on that respect about nerves and putting you in the frame of mind. Again, is nothing has changed. You've just had a couple of drinks. So you've just changed this. Can you see? But you're not now any better looking, taller, slimmer, more ripped, better rhomboids, wherever they are. I'll have to Google that later on. I just heard you say it. I thought that was a shape. That's a cuboid, a rhombus, a rhomboid. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Some sort of mathematical stuff. Anyway, and then so nothing's changed, but just in your head. So that's why I'm like, when I say it's not real, none of this is real. Nothing so much that we think means something just doesn't, including, respect and the way in which you should behave and elderly and all. It's just nonsense. For me, it doesn't feel what is real is what I can give Sean as me as a soul, as an energy to kind of go, look, trust me, bruv. My heart goes every time. Every time I go on stage, your heart's going, right? But because I've done it so much, and I know these are in podcast world, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, probably like yourself. Kobe Bryant said it. Lots of athletes have said it. They said they train really hard so that when it's match day, it's easy, right? And in the same way, you do it so much, you're training, you're public speaking so much so that when it's match day, your heart's going to be like, it's cool, I'm used to my heart going. I'm used to getting into this grip and going, oh crap, how do I get out of this now? This really hurts. Oh God, this joke's not going well. Oh, this conversation's not going, no, I can get out of it because I know I've got the moves in me to get out of it. So, and I do actually, I say public speaking or stand-up is the mixed martial arts of public speaking. Mm-hmm. So you get one wrong move, you're dead. You're dead, or you've killed someone else. You've missaid something. And comedians get cancelled all the time. I've been cancelled, but it's like not on from a one-line stage joke where they can just kind of suddenly go too far. What is it? A comedian that Dapper on Instagram. I forget his first name, but his name's Dapper Instagram, whatever. But he's a comedian. But he made some joke about a girl dressed in a way where she's crying out to be attacked. Bang, dropped from everything. One silly, inappropriate, step too far, offensive, borderline. Someone else would argue it's funny. Someone else would argue it's not. But there was enough people that argue that it's not. Heads of channel say it's not. You're done.
So what can comedians say and can't say? Like, how do you know?
You don't know. But I think... look, bruv, I don't know. I'm not experienced enough in the comedy scene really to be able to be worthy of talking about it. And there's a lot other better comedians that can articulate this because they've analyzed the game for so long. And I'm still only 5-6 years into comedy. I only really got into stand-up comedy just before lockdown. Lockdown stopped it, and now I've kind of picked things up. So I've got about 3 years under my belt, which is not a lot at all, particularly how old I am. But I've been presenting for a long time in a comedic way, and now I'm tending to stand up. But what I think ultimately, if it comes from a place of, which is, if the acorn of what you're saying is a joke, that we're going to laugh this, that's fine. If the acorn of what you're saying is, look at these idiots, how dare they? Or what? Then you're into shaky territory. Even if it's like, oh God, women are all like this. Oh, my wife's that typical woman. Da, da, da. If I did, then you're not actually, there's no joke there. You've got some issue and you're having it out and making a joke out of these people or this race or this culture or this gender or this something. So I don't tend to do those type of jokes. That's just not, I just don't find that funny. I don't find, Sean, look at you. I just don't find that funny. I find it a bit twattish. And particularly, look, we're both from East End London. That's how a lot of guys are. Oh, look at this dickhead. He's a fucking dickhead, isn't he? And it's sort of like,
why?
I just don't, there's no joke. There's got to be a joke. Something that makes you go, oh, that's clever, or that's creative, or that's silly, or that voice that you did is funny, or whatever, And therefore, I think it's just easier, safer in a way. I take the mick out myself, my own relationship, my culture, my world, my in-laws, my food pattern, habits, whatever I might eat or not eat, that stuff, music. I like punnery, playing puns on words. I call myself the Punjabi because you make puns all right. So all of that I like. And I think there's enough there to play with that I don't need to go, hey, trans people, eh? And I have thought about making, like trans jokes. I thought, or gender neutral. That's everyone knows, whoa, don't go there, man. You're going to get cancelled, get offended. But I'm like, but actually Punjabis were the first one to have gender neutral names. Amarjeet could be a bloke or a woman. Is there something in that? But then you kind of go, I don't know enough about that world. And I'm really just drawing that comparison. So you don't do it. But there might be a joke there. There might be a story there, or there might be something to say there. But I also don't care enough about that subject to do a joke about it. Whereas I can do jokes about relationships, breaking up, arranged marriages, whatever, because I come from that world.
But they are actually accepted in India. Men, women.
Exactly.
They actually come to your house and they say they bless you when you're having a
right.
kid.
But then some people say that, they come to put nazar on you as well. So there's a dark side of it.
I heard if you don't pay them, then.
Yeah, right. There's that. But even on that note, you touched upon something, when I hear about even homophobia in our culture, right? And how you can't, I don't know what any Asian religion where you can have a gay marriage, right? So they're just not welcome. So I'm a bit like, my modern way of thinking, like, is that right? Is that right? Shouldn't we be accepting of this? If we're about tolerance, particularly Sikh is about tolerance, should it not be? But then you hear the other side go, no, and people who are a lot more into their faith kind of going, Tommy, this is wrong for all these reasons. Then you just feel like going, you know what? I'm just a comedian. I'm just a silly bloke with silly ideas from East London. I'm wired and designed to question life, to think about it. That's what we do. That's how we find opportunities in business. That's how we find jokes in our humor. That's how we find observations in our commentary. It's my job to look. When I was a narrator, I'm looking at the action. When I'm a presenter, I'm looking at the singer, the musician. You're there to comment on it. But like you say about the trans people in India have been around for hundreds of years. Gay people have been around for thousands from the start of time, right? So, but yet still to this day. And you and I as brown people might kind of go, hey, we've experienced racism or whatever. Or women might say about the Me Too movement. Black people will say about Black Lives Matter. People have been shat on and mistreated since the start of time. Humans are flawed. Humans are assholes, as well as wonderful human beings. And you just got to sift through the crap and go, okay, he's a good one, she's a good one. Let's keep these people in my life. Oh, he let me down. Fine. No. And we have to just carry on, because when we stop and go, oh my God, this is terrible, and they mistreated me, and she cheated on me, and he broke my heart, and oh my God, why did they say that about me? That's completely made up. Why would they do that? When you do all that, it can all feel too much. And that's, unfortunately, the nicest people suffer from anxiety, depression, and the stresses and fear and nervousness. The cocky shits are the ones that are absolutely fine. Yeah. They don't care. And they're gonna probably outlive us, Sean, because they're not worried. So I'd say don't worry, be true, stay true, and just crack on, because we can waste too much time otherwise.
100, man. Keep putting yourself in them positions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you say. Can I talk a little bit about your BBC presenting days? What was your absolute highlight? And for me, I could tell you what my highlight was, looking back at yours,
really?
Is when you done an interview with Amitabh Bachchan. And when I saw that, I was like, my granddad used to love this guy. Yeah. My dad loves this guy. I know who he is. Yeah. And he's played the young stud, the baddie, the goodie,
troubled soul,
role,
he's done it all.
Granddad role, like he like, come on, King, like,
career achievement. I mean, there is only one big B. Yeah, exactly. No one will ever achieve that again, I don't think.
So I was watching a documentary last night, or day before. I saw one of the property guys say, "Wow, all the money in the world won't even make you happy." And after watching Robbie Williams. And Robbie Williams got this new Netflix.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched 2 episodes last night.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant because it's like going, I was watching you on this side of the lens. I get to find out what's on the other side of the lens. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm like, I want to find out through Tommy's brain. Like, tell me your biggest moment that everyone else is going, you were brilliant, this is wicked. What's actually going on?
Actually, on that note, it's exactly that. What you've realised, what you hit the nail on the head with Amitabh Bachchan and with Robbie Williams in that respect, is they're just people. Amitabh Bachchan, as he said to me in that interview, and he said it many times before, to other people, he was broke broke, bankrupt. He called it, what did he, the word for, Hindi word for the locks, the tale, something like that, were on. The locks were on his house, repossessed. He went and knocked at a director's house and said, I need a film. Like I'm broke. And that's when he got Mohabbat there. And that reignited his, early 2000s, I think it was, career. So, even him, godlike status has got to manage, what either wasn't managing his stuff or got a raw deal, didn't get the right cuts he should have, whatever had happened. I mean, how can Amitabh Bachchan be skinned in 2000, 23 years ago, when he's had a career from the 70s? Something's not right. Something wasn't managed right. The business wasn't right. Whereas Shah Rukh, if I'm honest, is a good actor. He's not a great actor. Even he would say, he's your boy next door. He's loved by the people. He's loved by women. He hit the timing of it right. The cuteness of his 90s delivery, perfect timing for those songs, those films. But his business mind is untouchable. He is. So actually, I would say Shah Rukh is probably my highlight from my career.
Okay.
Because he's the Michael Jackson of Bollywood, of Indian cinema, like in terms of where he's at fame-wise. Not only the dodgy stuff, he's the decent version. But he's something like the second richest man in entertainment. So number one is Seinfeld, number two is Shah Rukh. Schwarzeneggers and Stallones are way lower down than Shah Rukh, right? So, but he's got his branding right. He's got his marketing right. He's got his endorsements right. He's got him as a product. He's stayed in shape. He's delivered the right kind of roles. Some people say some of these films are cheesy, are simple, or are like, it doesn't mean anything, but he's getting it right and he's delivering and he's marketing. But what I saw from him when I interviewed him and I met him, so I contacted his office and said, I want to interview him for when he's coming down. And he remembered me from the last interview and he went, tell Tommy to come and just meet me at the airport, spend the day with me. It was great. I turned up at the airport with a red carpet underneath my arm. Yeah. I rolled it out on the floor. He walked on it. We kind of had a little joke and laugh. Off we go. We do our we're interviews. We follow him around the day. But you see his work ethic. Then you hear from people like Kevin Hart or Dwayne The Rock Johnson in their kind of interpost saying they want to be the hardest working people in the room. And you see that with Shah Rukh. He came straight off a plane, straight got changed, straight to a function, delivered a speech there, went and met his son for lunch, went straight to this, went straight to the House of Lords, went straight to... And I saw him putting in his eye drops because his eyes are tearing because he's come off a flight. He's jet lagged. Okay, albeit first class. I'm sure it'd be lovely in there and a little cabin and a butler and all that on the flight. But he's grafting, bruv. He's grafting. And between everyone can know it. In terms of off stage, he wanted to have a cigarette in the BBC. You can't smoke in the BBC. But we took him up to the roof. They made a special thing. So, and he went, Tommy, come with me. So everyone else stayed there, producers, his entourage. You imagine he comes with 10, 15 people, makeup, this, that, the other. All of the BBC management, anyone from any floor is all up there to look at Shah Rukh Khan. And he's going, Tommy, let's go. I want to have a cigarette. And obviously I don't smoke, but I'm going to just go with him. Bruv, he could barely walk. His knees screwed up, his hip, his shoulder. He was limping. There was 2 little steps. I held his hand. He went like that. Fast forward 4 hours later, I was still with him. We went to an event, went to some film plug thing for him, plugging the film. He's on stage, and he's dancing. And I'm like, this geezer couldn't even walk. But when the light goes on, when it's showtime, bang, something else kicks in. They call it Doctor Theatre. So when the lights go up, the Doctor Theatre kicks in and you're fine. If you have a cold, I would have it. I'd be snivelly coming into the BBC studios. Mic goes on, ding, you feel good. It's just that adrenaline running through you. That same thing that makes your heart go, takes away your colds or takes away your aches and pains or makes you want to perform. So for me, highlight probably him because that cemented my relationship with an absolute A-list. He was lovely to me. He was supportive. He would tweet me back, which just shot my followers up and things things like that. Yeah. And it meant people in the industry would go, Shah Rukh tweeted you, and what's that about? But then they'd take you a little bit seriously. And when you meet, when I meet him if I saw him at an event, and I did, and the cameras were on, he just stopped. He went, "Hey, Tommy, come here." And I had the cameras on. I'm trying to carry on my Shah Rukh Khan interview moment with my cameras. And he goes, wait. He goes, wait, 1 second, guys. Obviously, everyone out of fear just kind of puts the camera down. And he held my hand. He went, how are you, bruv? Not bruv. He goes, how are you? I went, I'm good. He goes, family good? Wife good? I went, everyone's good. I went, but we've only got you for like 3 minutes right now. Can we just carry on? And he's like, yeah, okay. But he took that moment. And in all the, we meet a lot of people, you meet a lot of people. You think about how many people are in his life: marketing, PR, endorsements, films, scripts, management, stylists, fashion. It'll be nuts. And he took a moment out for some broadcaster from England. And I rate that. And I rated myself for the fact that he showed me that. Because I'm like, well, he doesn't do that with everybody. He done that because he said to me, he goes, I love your style. Other guests, we had John Abraham on. John Abraham, at the end of the interview, muscle guy, he went, at the end of it, he goes, are we done? He goes, no. And he looked around at the cameras, he went, now why can't Indian broadcasters be like him? Yeah. He goes, that was a good chat, it was fun, it was it. And I'm like, oh good, I want to be good at what I do. I want to be good. I don't want to be like, so tell me, how about, it's like I said to you, because I watched some of your clips and I gave you some of my feedback. I'm like, you got to home in the question or whatever it is. There's techniques. But bruv, I've been doing it 25 years. I've been a presenter since I was 21. I'm 46. This is all I know. So you can put me on any stage. It's fine. I love it. I just love it. But I want it to go well. I want people to have a good time. That's a long answer. Sorry.
Absolutely. I really absolutely love that. I'm going to speak a little bit about mental health.
Yep.
It's not really seen as mental health in our culture sometimes, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what you get.
But
which means he's mad. His mind's wrong.
I do want to touch on a subject, and hopefully we can speak about it. But you're having fun in the BBC. You're interviewing around all of these stars. You're happy. The lights come on. You're on. This is what you love. This is what you're made to do. Age of 21, 47. But then this day comes and somebody picks up the phone and says, you've been suspended. On the outside, you could have just gave a quick message. Hi guys, look, I haven't done anything wrong. This is what's going on. Everything's all good. I'm going to step aside anyway. Boom. But what's really going on behind the curtains?
Okay.
Because this is everything you love and this is what you know.
It's a big subject and big part of my life. And coming back to the mental health, it's a big thing that affected my mental health. And that's why I feel, just want to maintain this thought. That's why I feel as strong as I feel right now is because I went through that. And I will always say, and if I can make it this my point overall, that if you are going through it, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever your thing is, the thing that makes you feel like crap, whether it be Robbie Williams. And I related last night when I watched it and he said, I just feel scared inside. And when he said, don't know what it is. He goes, I've been in a black hole. That fear, trust me, the most confident person in the world, even me, I can go on stage with 11,000, 15,000 people at O2, Wembley, which I'm going to be at Wembley, sold out, December. No fear, literally no fear, just excitement. And I want to get it right. So I want, but we all feel those things. We all have days where we just feel fear. Like even sometimes I get Monday morning anxiety, where you kind of go, I've got so much to do. I've got follow up this and follow up that and ring that finance company. And all that stuff can feel a bit overwhelming. So we all feel those things. So don't worry if you feel those things. That is normal. And feeling low is also normal. You got to take steps to get yourself out of it, whichever, it depends on what your situation is. But for me, that week, the irony, bruv, the irony about that last week at the BBC, on a Monday of that week, which I didn't know it was going to be my last week at the BBC. On a Monday, I messaged the boss, head of all radio. And I went, hey, by the way, 3 years ago, you said, Tommy, you'll be on mainstream TV and radio in 5 years. I can see it, Tommy. You're going mainstream. You got that appeal. I was like, great. I said, guess what? 3 years into the 5 years, I'm on Radio 2. I'm on the One Show. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I said, ha. Like, Nana, I beat your time. And he laughed and he went, of course you beat me. He goes, you're so stubborn that I imagine that you would do it quicker. And he goes, I said 5 years, knowing you do it in 3. I went, yeah. And he went, look, I'm not being an opportunistic here, but why don't you come out on Thursday night? Bring your wife. I've got this box at the Royal Albert Hall to look at the classical music of John Williamson, right? And I'm like, I didn't know who John Williams is. I had to Google it. He did the music to Jaws, Star Wars, Superman, all that. Like he knew to go, dun, and that would be scary. I'm like, that's genius territory. Anyway, so we're watching this performed by the BBC Philharmonic. We're in the box Thursday night, drinking with the boss. My wife's there, laughing, joking. I'm like, I've made it.
Yes.
I am the man. I'm a mainstream telly. I'm a little brown boy from East London that did flamenco. My mum's on the sewing machine. My dad worked at BT. I've got 2 sisters, did drama, performing arts, did my studies, did my media, got myself up through the roots of Blind Date. Pow! I'm a host. I'm doing it. And I'm earning good money. 6-figure salary, multiple shows, more talk. Oh, you know what? I've heard, Tommy, people say at the BBC that Strictly Come Dancing are looking at you. I've heard that they're looking at you. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm ready to embrace it. And also, I love people. I love life. I was a good boy. Never upset anyone. Never had any clashes with anyone. That was Thursday night. All good. Friday. Oh, we've found some WhatsApp messages. You haven't said anything. One of the bosses says, we haven't said, you're not even in the messages. He goes, but just come and have a little chat with me. I went, yeah, cool. And he goes, oh, what do you know? I said, I don't even check these messages. Quite nonchalant because I knew I hadn't said anything. I don't use racist language. I don't use I don't, even as a joke, I don't do homophobic language or lewd. And I don't perv or I'm not lewd over women because I'm not. I'm older. For starters, I'm a lot older than a lot of these people at the BBC. And I'm married. Don't get it, I might check out like Nicole Scherzinger, Rita Ora, but like I don't call them real people. I'm not like, oh yeah, her in the office. That's just creepy and cringe for me. Plus, I come from a house of 2 sisters. Do you know what I mean? It's just different. It's a different kind of upbringing. You don't have that relationship with women. You have a conversational relationship. So I could always talk. I'd always get on well with girls because I'm a talker. But I was never like popular with girls. Like I wasn't like a ladies man. You'd see those guys at college and school and stuff, and they'd just be smooth. They just had something else. I wasn't. I was performing arts, drama, dance, dicking around. Let me be that guy. And I'd often be the brother, the friend zone, which is fine. It was absolutely fine with me, and I like that. So then that happens. And by the way, come back to your point, I was never suspended. Even to this day, I've never been suspended. They went, take next week off. That was how it was. Friday morning conversation after the show. Show's ended 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a breakfast show. They went, take next week off while we sort your team out because it's the other people in the group that have said the language. I was like, cool. Comes around to Tuesday that week. They said, oh, can you come in tomorrow and talk us through what you know about the group? I went, yeah. Came in. Talked them through it all. I said, oh yeah. I said, I got added to the group. They went, oh, how do you feel about this language? Because they referred to the Pakistanis and the P word with India-Pakistan in the cricket match. They went, they were going to smash the P's up. How do you feel about that? I said, it's kind of embarrassing. I said that I'm even here. I said, I don't want no association with this. I said, I don't do that. But when they write the notes, they wrote, I was embarrassed to be there. That's it. Doesn't say the other stuff, right? So in the summary of it. So my point is, we were there for about an hour and a half talking about everything in the group. And I'm kind of going, look, this is not me. I got added to this group. I keep the peace, keeping sweet with the team, the producers, so I stay in the group. They're, why don't you leave the group? I'm like, because I don't really check it. And I said, if you look, I come in after 3, 4, 5 days at a time, sometimes because you're just busy. So what you just think is an app on a phone is now being used to judge my entire character. Not the 10 years I've been at the BBC, not the fact that I've never upset anyone. There's no complaints. There's no staff member, even to this day, that went, Tommy done me wrong. There's no one. Even the girl who found the messages said, this has got nothing to do with Tommy. But the BBC went, don't worry about it. We're going to deal with this in our way. And then somebody leaked it to the Daily Mail that I'd been suspended, which is not true. And then the headline said, suspended for homophobic, racist and lewd comments in a WhatsApp group. And you're like, bruv, your whole world, like literally, it feels like the walls have come in, like the walls are there. It's dark. I remember literally when he told me, the outsides of my vision just went black. And I was sat like this with the BBC boss. He went, Tommy, we're going to let you go. And I remember looking down there, because you kind of go, what? You're like, what? It's like everything's swirling. He gave me the piece of paper physically, bruv. And you know how they did it in films when people are dyslexic and they make the letters all move, like to show that their head's spinning. The letters were moving and I couldn't see the outside of the page. And it was just like, how has this happened? How? And that right there was the biggest problem I had, because then for months, years, probably about 2 years, I just couldn't get my head around but I haven't done anything. But I haven't said anything. That's all I kept going around. I go, what could I have done to rewind time? Maybe I should have left the group. But why would I have left a group if I didn't really know what was going on in it anyway? It's like saying, oh, you that subscription on your email that you've got to that company, they're linked to another company. Why don't you leave it? I'm like, I wasn't looking. Why weren't you looking? You look now and then. Did you not check your emails? No, yeah, I did check my email. Right, so obviously you knew about it. Well, no, I didn't know about the, sorry. getting emotional. No, it was, it makes you kind of go, it's very easy to get caught up in it and trapped in the wording. And you're like, yeah, I don't really know. You know what I've always thought, though, up until that moment, is each to their own. You can say what you want, Sean. You can be full-on right-wing extremist racist. As long as you're not going to punch me in the head or bottle me or hurt my family, say what you want. I really don't care. And I've never cared. But with cancel culture, call-out culture, complacency, complicit culture as well, people are like, oh, you turned a blind eye to racism. I'm like, no. I said... then I'm trying to, all of a sudden you're the one trying to explain, no, see, with India, Pakistan and the right, it's kind of more nuanced. That it's not racism like that. There is a rivalry, particularly with cricket. There are going to be mean things said, but it's a bit like Arsenal Tottenham. If you went to Arsenal Tottenham, you'd hear some horrible things said about each other. But when they fight for, when they play for England, everyone's fighting for the same team. So I said, it's kind of like the same thing. There's this rivalry, but we all get called the P word. We all get beaten up. I had my car jumped in Hornchurch. They punched me in the head repeatedly, calling me the P word. My dad's from Lahore, Pakistan. I said, and I was trying to explain that. And I said, look, I don't know how I've got pulled into this, but it's horrible because everything went quickly. One show, travel show, Radio 2, Asian Network, bang, all your salary gone. And then no one's going to touch you because there's this massive national article saying homophobic, racist, lewd comments.
Was it one of the people involved just suspended or given a warning?
Oh, yeah. Well, so there were 4 people in the group, me and 3 producers. 2 of them got sacked immediately for their language, that they directly use that language. The other one was, he was younger, so he was allowed to continue his work. I think it was under the kind of guise of like, he's the younger one. He was kind of a bit more led by his, the elder people in the production team. And with me, they didn't do anything for 5 more weeks. So they sacked those guys within a week or 2. And then for 5 more weeks, they didn't know what to do with me. So I was just off air and I was going, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, hold on. This boss is away. You're going to speak to him when he comes back. Okay. And then they would find comments that I did make. So they go, oh, look, you made a lully comment, a willy comment. I'm like, yeah, I do that in front of my mum. I would do that joke. Bit crude though, isn't it? Is it? Oh, you made a fanny joke. You made a joke, you referenced a fanny. Yeah, I will do that. I'll tell you what, one of the things I said, I'd like to eat Nicole's Shazinga Tower burger, right? Now, don't laugh, bruv. That got me sacked. No, that actually came back later. But I said, they went, you're sitting there with the boss, with lawyers and they're going, that's crude, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it is crude. And if Nicole Scherzinger was here, I'd be a bit embarrassed, right? But it's a joke on the word zinger. I love KFC and she's hot. But then, so it's that kind of stuff. In a BBC contractual court of law style and fashion, you can't justify that. Because they're like, why are you using that language with staff, with BBC? You're the figurehead of this Asian network station, and you said you want to eat Nicole Scherzinger Tower burger. Stop it. See, shame on you. I find it funny, right? And I've said and there are other things I've said, which I won't go into, but what I would say is they're jokes. And, and what I was trying to get across was like, these are silly jokes, rude jokes, crude jokes, whatever you want to call them, right? Inappropriate jokes, maybe. But I said, what's really dark is the people that are quietly racist, that don't say anything, the people that are trying to take advantage of a woman or someone that they feel they can flex their power over in a dark way. I said, there's no darkness here. This is just silly bugger stupidness. And they said, how do I feel about their language? I went, it's stupid. That's it. I said, but I know racism. I know homophobia. I worked in a gay club for 6 years as a resident DJ twice a week while I was single. My parents probably thought, what's going on here? Is he going the other way? But I'm like, so I feel like I've really been a part of the gay scene with gay management, bar staff, doorman, my friends, the DJs I used to give lifts back and forth. So you hear about their world. You hear about homophobia. It's no different from racism. Really, just being judged. And I don't do that. And that's what really hurt my heart, I suppose. That's what really broke my heart, was I'm like, I'm being made out to be something that couldn't be further from the person that I am. Mm-hmm. But in that time, you stop and you look back at what you are then. Because I was actually thinking at one point, I thought in my depression, in my mental health issues, whatever, I had 2 counselors. My mum quit her job to come and do the bar, to come and pray, in my house every day because she was worried about where my mental health was. All of that. I'll never forget that. It was, crying my eyes out, wondering where it's all gone, wondering if that's it. Am I all done? And I might be done. I haven't really come back. Even now, bruv, there are venues that don't want me doing stand-up there because they Google me. Because I'm a brown boy, I'm not Alan Sugar or someone who can overcome a bit of controversy, or Gary Lineker who can say stuff and maybe it causes a bit of a hoo-ha, but he can overcome it because they're big enough to overcome it. I'm not big enough, but I'm not small enough to fly under it. So what it does is just covers you with tars and feathers, as they call it, covers you in shit and goes, right, he's a wrong one. And no one touches you. And so that's really hard, particularly when you want to earn and work, particularly when you're an artist and you want to perform. So it is hard. And it does affect your mental health. But what I also have learned from it is, what can they do now? What can you do now? You're going to cancel me again? No, you can't now. Because now I only work for myself. So I've got my podcast, my stand-up. You don't like it, don't come. There's no one that can get rid of me. Yeah, there might be more venues that go, but I'm not an outrageous comedian anyway. I don't do political humor. I don't take it to the edge. So those who come out to see me now will kind of go, it's just silliness. It's actually just good fun. And it's just a celebration of our culture and a fusion of all that. And actually, I love the fusion of the culture, which is why I think I mentioned to you, I'm launching a chutney mayonnaise, a spicy Indian mayonnaise, but it's a Pakistani, Indian-y fusion recipe, which I think is the best recipe of chutney mixed with mayonnaise. I think it's the best. I've tried it for the last 6-7 years. I've been working on it in 35, 40 different versions. I'm about to launch that. I'm a couple of weeks away. Why? Because it represents diversity. It represents what actually good things come together when you're different and you come together. Mayonnaise and these spices and this kind of combination of these spices is a combination of Lahori, Gujarati, and the rest of India, a bit of Punjabi recipes. I love that. And that's what we did on the radio. And that's what works so well.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we move on to that sort of topic of your entrepreneurship and what you've got going on, I want to speak a little bit more about that dark moment. I want to go a little bit more deeper. It's like the anxiety and, how was you actually feeling when the fear of not even knowing, have I got a job or not, or what's going on, or why is it been 3 weeks now, 4 weeks now, 5 weeks, now they're going to call me in, and you're just thinking, what's going on? And you've got all of the hope in the world that I've worked everything for this job. I'm around all of these stars, like almost at that point, you probably think that's your whole world.
Right. I even heard, I remember, because I got on really well with Craig David when he came in to an interview. Really well. He's lovely. And he's been through it as well, emotionally and his career up and down. But he's loving life. We got on so well. And then I heard from someone else, he came back for an interview and I wasn't there because I'd been let go. And he went, where's that Tommy guy? And they went, he's been sacked. And the bestie I felt inside, I've not seen Craig since, the bestie I felt like, I'm just that brown guy who was all right then, but this is cringe. So a lot of things go through your mind. When you say what goes through your mind in that anxiety, depressive kind of moment or times, you're thinking about my parents, the wife. I couldn't look at my kids. I felt guilty. I felt like I'd let them down. I was worried about physically going out with my wife and kids, like to Stratford or East London, where there were populations of people that might know me and know what I'd supposedly said or done. If anyone listening to this podcast, Google the article, read it, knowing full well that I'm telling you now, I never said nothing offensive. And it's very cleverly worded, the article. That's the other thing. These people are cleverer than us. Daily Mail journalists, BBC contract makers, these litigation lawyers, they're cleverer than us. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm not able to fight that battle. I wasn't quick enough, able enough, strong enough. But your Gary Linekers and Alan Sugars and all that, who've got those teams, management, legal people in place, they can go, whoa, they can shut things down quickly. Or they go, watch out, because they know what they're doing. We were like on the back foot. This got nothing to do with me. It's just a WhatsApp group. And then when it all did happen and it slowly snowballed and you're finished off and you're not working and no one's touching you, people are going, Tommy, they're cancelling you for bookings for live events as well. I know that feeling of lying awake in bed. Like lying awake in bed, it's 10 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock, it's 11:30, it's 12, it's 1, it's 2. You get up, you go to the toilet, you have some water, come back, it's 3, it's 4, it's starting to get light, you can hear the birds tweeting, 4:30, 5. And you're going, shit, just go sleep. But you can't, because you're just going round. You're just stuck in this space. It's horrible. And then you get this sickly because you just nod off at like 6 a.m. The kids are up. And of course, my wife then, because I'm not earning, she's gone back to work. We've got no money coming in. She has to work. So she's cut her maternity leave early. I've now got looking after a 5-6 month old baby and my elder son, who was about 4.5, 5 at the time. And then I'm doing the school runs and the food and the nappies. And that is just all different as well, because I hadn't done it before. Well, I'd done it when it was my turn to do it on the weekends. And so I wasn't completely incapable. I love cooking. So cooking was fine. But like, I'm just at home. I don't have a purpose. I don't have anywhere I have to be. I used to hate Sunday evenings because Monday morning I had nowhere to be. I used to hate the school run because you go there and there's guys in suits, dads in suits. You're like, they've got somewhere to be. Where are you going? You're going to go home and get back into bed because you're knackered. Then you sleep in the day because you're so knackered because you've been up all night. And then you do the same thing again. You become like a night shift worker. Or you'd come home from the school run and literally just lie on the kitchen floor. Just because you've just given up. Just lie here. This isn't a sympathy thing. I got underfloor heating. It's fine. No, it was lovely. It was lovely. It's quite cozy down there. If you get the Kumble as well, it's just a bit hard. And if you cry, then it's like it steams your face as well with the hot floor. No, I'm joking. So it's stupidness. My brain goes into stupid. Anyway, so
love it.
It is hard. It was hard. It was the hardest time, and the lowest time. And it doesn't actually really go. And funny, again, you mentioned Robbie Williams because the documentary's on at the moment. You know, you hear how he talks, and I'm like, I get it. I get it that on paper, everyone will go, oh, you're funny, you're confident, you're outgoing and all that. And you know, the breakfast show that we had on the Asian network was the most listened to Asian radio show in the history of Asian radio on any Asian station ever. Right? Okay. I'm saying like, well, the reason I say it is like, you know, Nihal gets more listeners on 5 Live, but on Asian network, Sunrise, Leica, no one has come anywhere near the number that my show got on the radio on that breakfast show. So I'm like, we were successful in our world, you know, big fish, little pond, minority kind of listen, but there's only 3.5, 4 million British Asians in the country. And we had a popular show that we know of, not counting the shed at the back of your garden. I know you got a few brothers in there, bruv. I know what you like. Rent that one out, innit? Yeah. Short-term ASTs. All right. I get it. So, you're like, so it is dark. The dark, so this is what I want to get across. What does that mean? Because you hear people about depression, mental health, anxiety. What does that mean? It means sleepless nights. It means drinking more at the time. It means longer hangovers, really not seeing a route. That was a big thing for me. I was like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what do I do? Do I just, is this it? Do I just jump off now and go, I'm going to go get a 9 to 5? I had property, I had only a handful of properties that I thought, okay, so at least we could pull out a bit of money there and just carry on living our life. But that's why I never complained, because I was like, well, I got options. It's options that I shouldn't have to take. That money wasn't for me to take, it was for my kids, for their future, for their deposit in 20 years' time, for things like that. But I'm like, okay, well, that's why it's there. And I've got those options. I've got the options to sell my house and go to a smaller house. So I thought, if I complain, go, oh, guys, you know, I've lost my job, you know, this is really unfair. They're going to go, fuck you, you're fine, you got a few property. And I had people, I won't say who, broadcasters that I know very well established at the BBC who I'd bump into a year, 2 years after getting sacked. And I was still going through proper sleepless nights a year or two later. I'm talking months of them. And they break you down. When you don't sleep, it's like mums that are sleep deprived from having a baby. That's the shit that sends you crazy. It's the sleep deprivation, because you can't think straight. And I'd meet broadcasters and they go, yeah, you're all right though. You got property, you're all right. You're all right, you got money. I'm like, it ain't about that. I've had everything I've worked for 20 odd years taken away for the wrong reasons. If you want to sack me for some of the other dumb shit I do, but I haven't done anything in this WhatsApp group. I haven't said anything. I wouldn't disrespect people. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be liked. I want to be loved. And this was saying, nah, mate, you're wrong. You're wrong, because these are all the reasons. And here's your BBC management, the same people that gave you your job are going, these are the reasons why you're wrong. And you're going, maybe I am. Maybe I'm messed up and I don't even know it. And it knocks your mojo, knocks your confidence, knocks your direction. And then This is so bad. It's like go full circle. Then you come at the other side and go, nah, you're a bunch of pricks. Basically, you go, hang on. No. And this is where having the right friends around you, getting clear in your head and stopping drinking. My closest mate, Amajit, picked me up and took me gym when I was down. 1 week, 2 weeks after being sacked, he went, come out, let's go gym. He didn't say, let's go pub. He said, let's go gym. And he kept doing that. And then I got into a bit of running. And I hated running, still hate running. But I do 3 5K, right? I did my 5K, but I was doing it 4 or 5 times a week. Then I stopped the drinking. And then actually, this sounds really wrong, COVID kicked in. So the world was sacked. The world was cancelled. The world was in my boat. I'm like, good. Now you all know what it feels like to have everything taken away. Oh, we can't get into venues. Yeah, neither can I. Oh, we can't go out in public. Yeah, neither can I. Oh my God, all my income's gone. Yep, so's mine. It's been gone for the last couple of years because I got sacked in 2017, COVID obviously 2019, 20. What that did mean was my missus is now at home. The kids are now at home. So I couldn't be depressed. I couldn't lie on the floor. I couldn't just go back to bed. I had to pretend to be doing shit. I had to pretend to keep myself busy. So it kind of got me doing, I set up a new company. We made some audio production stuff, worked with Amazon and Audible, did some cricket stuff, got into the cricket world. And then things sort of weirdly picked up, voiceovers, other little bits of TV work. And then you realize, oh, actually, a couple of gigs here and there, a little bit of stand-up, a little bit of corporate stuff. And people were going, hey, listen, we've heard it. We don't believe it. We know you. Even, because it was anti-Pakistani, some of the comments. They were coming from people, the guy I worked with the most, probably my lawyers were Pakistani. My comedy promoter's Pakistani. I'm like, the irony, I've got more Pakistani people in my life after being sacked for being associated with anti-Pakistani comments. So it was like, this is funny. But I rate those people and I'll always maintain my loyalty to those people because I'm fickle, bruv. If I read an article, Sean Land is a wrong, and I go, yeah, Sean Land's probably a wrong one, bruv. He's probably a wrong one. No smoke without fire, all that. But these guys didn't. They went, no, we know you. We see you. We know you. And I'm like, and that was humbling, bruv. It's like, it's almost embarrassing. You're like, oh, really? Because I don't even see it myself. I've been questioning whether I am a wrong one. Maybe I am. And I'm just so deluded. I don't know. How do you know? How do we really know whether you're wrong or not? Whether you're likable or not? Or whether you're not something that people are saying you are? But with time, you go through that. That's what the kind of depression, anxiety is. And then you come out and you go, actually, the only people that really matter is my wife and my kids, my mum and my dad, the big man or the forces that are controlling the universe to be good. And then also I want to treat people well. And my sister remembers it as well because she goes, she rung me and I'd just been sacked. And I was walking back from the station, walking around, and I remember my legs like not really knowing where the floor is. Like you're unsure. And everything was just messed up. And I remember thinking in my head, they're trying to change me. They want me to go dark. They want me to be angry. I'm not going to get angry. And I remember I took all my old clothes to the charity shop that day. But not because I'm such a good person. I'm not trying to do that. I'm saying because I'm like, they're trying to make me angry. No, I'm going to do something good to show them I'm going to stay the way I am. And I put the bar on, I put my religious stuff on because I'm like, no, I'm going to stay in my positivity lane. This is, I need to be sure of myself now. It didn't last because I spent years doubting myself. But you do those things because you're like, no, I'm me and I know what I stand for and I know I stand for goodness or trying to be good. Don't get me wrong, bruv. I can always be a twat. I can always, shout and swear when I'm driving along or cut someone up or overreact or whatever. But I'm trying to be good. And I'm definitely not the things that I got sacked for or that I was accused of and then sacked for. Because technically they sacked me for the Lully comment, the Fanny comment, and not flagging other comments. But I'm like, that's not worthy of losing a 20-year career. That's not worthy of losing a 10-year career at the BBC. I think that was an overreaction because they had to do something. It was also at a time when your Jimmy Saviles and Harvey Weinsteins and all these men in positions of power were abusing their power. So it was easy to lumber me into that. And I'm like, that wasn't the case. That just wasn't the case. And what happened was terrible for me and my career, but it was also bad I think it was bad for them. I think it was bad for the station. I think it was bad PR for British Asians because it looks like, oh, look at these lot fighting amongst each other. Indians slagging off Pakistanis. Look at that. They can't even sort themselves. We all look stupid. And I'm like, that wasn't even the case.
What do you think of the BBC?
No,
because there is a lot of stuff that's being said about the BBC, like you said, with all of these some of these stars that have come out that have done really, really wrong things and bad things. like Jimmy Savile, like you've just
Hugh Edwards.
like,
There's others, and there's other more micro. And bruv, I'm telling you, I know there are others that have done other things that have not come out. And I think about it, even with everything that's come about now, you kind of go, oh, is it my job to call it out? Do I go, oh, by the way, I witnessed this and I witnessed that and I witnessed it. But then you know what I look like? I look like the guy who's been sacked, who's now pulling the house down, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to my morals at the start, which is like, unless I felt, those people that have left the BBC, by the way, now, right? The people that have done wrong. It's not like I've left wrongdoing going on. It was more flashes of bad behavior or inappropriate stuff or saying inappropriate things to women or whatever. I've witnessed it, heard the stories from the women, seen them do it, but they weren't affected by it. They've not been cancelled. I just think it's too negative of me to go and call those people out. I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But if I knew they were still doing it, then maybe I'd have to. I don't know. It's a complex one. So my thing of the BBC is it's a giant organization. It was brilliant for me. I haven't got a bad word to say about the BBC. Actually, there is no me versus the BBC. It was me versus this situation and how it was handled. Me versus my involvement in the situation. I got to go, you know what? I'm in a WhatsApp group. I have to hold myself accountable to my actions. I'm in a group associated with these things. Fine. But I still don't think that was worthy of losing everything being counted. I think it should have been like, why are you in this group if you're not using it? That's the conversation I would have had with me and said, look, you haven't said anything really offensive, but you made some pretty naughty jokes here about lilies and fannies and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I do that. You can't do that with BBC staff. Check yourself. And I went, oh, what? Because I even thought it's my own mobile phone. This is their own mobile phone. Surely that's allowed, but it's not. In the BBC contract, one line does say that basically anywhere I go, everywhere I go, at any time, I'm accountable to the BBC Code of Conduct and Values. So it doesn't matter. So they kind of own you everywhere. And that's in the contract, and I've signed that. So that's why, if you went down the full court line, I probably would have lost, because they'd be like, well, technically, you're in a WhatsApp group with BBC staff. You've used, forget what they've said, forget if it's a joke or not. You use this. Would you have said that in a studio? Would you say that on air? No, I wouldn't. Well, then you shouldn't be saying it there. Technically, you're out. You could take a moral stance on that and go, well, hang on a minute. People say stuff all the time. Where do you draw the line and all that? But technically, they're right. So where do I send the BBC? Any big organization, the government, the police, NHS, and the BBC. Look at all the problems that we're seeing in those big organizations. When you employ thousands and thousands and thousands of people, by law of averages, you're going to get a load of wrong uns, right? People that are messed up, there for the wrong reasons. You also get loads of lazy people. You get loads of shit people. You get crap. You also get loads of geniuses. You get brilliant people. So I've worked with the wickedest people that really know cameras, sound, their craft, lighting, setups, preparation, production, and they have invested in me. The BBC took me on and they gave me a platform. They let me do the thing in the Asian network. They trained me up. They sent me to legal training. It's like, what can you say on air? What can't you say on air? All that investment they gave me was incredible. So I would not be having the career I've had today. I wouldn't have had all those wonderful memories if it wasn't for them. So really, there is no issue. And just so you know, there is no issue with the BBC. How we've wrapped things up is, I'm cool, you're cool, we're cool, you're cool, we can take you back. Which was the other thing that wound me up at the time, because when they said, step down from the Asian network, you can keep Radio 2, keep the One Show, keep the Travel Show. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you asking me to step down? And then they went, if you don't step down, we're going to have to sack you. I'm like, but you're saying I could stay. What are you saying? And it was all of that was so confusing. It's like they just needed to make a gesture, like, look, there you go, he was in a WhatsApp group, he stepped down. But then I'd still be on Radio 2. But actually, they wouldn't have been able to honor that anyway. So it's all like, what is going on? So I do think there was some mishandling, mismanagement. But again, those managers aren't even there anymore. People have all left and moved on. So no real bad vibes, but you learn from it, and you learn that actually any big organization is going to collect some, just by probability, some wrong uns.
You probably made quite a few connections while you were there at BBC as well, especially with some of the guests, the stars that you've mingled and jingled with, etc. But did you lose some of them connections because of what's happened? Because they've got very big brands, and if they're seen to mingle with you, then it tarnishes them, because it's like, hey, hang on, he's had this energy around him, and we've got to be careful now, because it makes our business go down.
Well, not only that, Newham Council, never forget it. I'm going to be working with them soon again. But they, I used to host all their medleys, because I was born in Newham, East London, and And I used to host their Melon. It was great event. And then bang, you drop from that. And that really hurt. That hurt because that's my home council. I used to kind of go back. I don't live there now. But it was like I was, 360, gone back to my kind of roots, back into a local park that I used to play in as a kid, hosting a Mela there. That one meant something. The mayor's office, I used to host, can you get this? I used to host Diwali in Trafalgar Square, Vaisakhi in Trafalgar Square, and Eid. I was one brown face fits all. I used to do all three religions, Hindu, Sikh, and Muslim, because I loved it. I got to celebrate it, and I knew enough about what and how to say it on a main stage to bring everybody together. Because I never forget, when I went past the Vaisakhi one, and there was a guy with a beard and a pug, and he was talking like this to everybody in Punjabi, and I'm like, if you're Gora, you're going to crap your pants, right? If you're white, you're going to go, whoa, man with the beard and turban, shouting, holding. I'm like, it shouldn't be that way. It should be done like this. So I offered myself up to do it. And then I was hosting them. I was kind of making it a bit more inclusive, making it feel a bit more warmer, celebrating what Vaisakhi represents. So I could do it in my way. And I wanted to do that. But then I got dropped from the mayor's events. But then 2 years ago, Sadiq Khan himself tweeted me going, oh, looking forward to welcoming back Tommy Sandhu to host this. And I'm like, the incredible, he wrote something out. I'm like, oh, wow, I was dropped for a few years. But then eventually it comes back because people can't, the word gets out, actually, he didn't say anything. Actually, he's not, he's fine. Or we've worked with him. So everybody's looking for someone else to make the first move. I think in general, I don't think celebrities dropped off like that, but then I didn't have the platform to be interviewing them anyway. So I wasn't on the radio. And don't get me wrong, there are other Asian radio stations that offered me every show and any show that I wanted to say, look, you can come straight in. We don't care. But I was just a bit, like when you come out of a relationship, you're like, I don't really want to see anyone anymore. I think I just need to be on my own for a bit. I'm not ready to commit. And also I just felt like, what? Like, how did that happen? And I just, it all got taken away, and I loved it so much there. I loved it so much. People said, oh, you were going to move on soon. I was like, maybe, but not like this. Not Jazzy Jeff style, being thrown out by Uncle Phil out of the house. Not like that. I wanted to kind of go out doom-dum, in a bit of style.
Why would they say that you're on your way out?
Meaning you'd been there 8-9 years. Like you were gonna move on from Asian Network. Even the bosses at head of radio, he goes, you were done there anyway. You were moving on. I'll go, yeah, but now it's like snakes and ladders. I kind of worked my way up. I proved myself, and I've gone like that. And bruv, we've done in terms of actual abilities, we've learned to do live television, pre-recorded stuff, radio. So we'd become a nicely rounded broadcaster. You'd learnt those skills only to have nowhere to use them. But then this is where you've got to question life and go, where's it going? What's it about? What am I here for? What am I learning from this situation? What really matters? And actually, there's 7 billion people in the world. Tommy Sandhu's story doesn't really matter. The only reason I share it here with you and I go on about it is because I just want to talk to people, I suppose, who just feel alone, because I felt so alone. And I never felt that way before. I've always been a part of it. I couldn't look at my mum because I feel like she's going to see it in my eyes. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to mix with anyone. I just wanted to run away. I kept saying, like, it's like life was trying to carry on. I just wanted to get off the ride and just hide for a bit. Just wanted to kind of go, can I just allow me for a bit. Just let me lie on the floor. Leave me in this place until I sort myself out. And then you hear, quick other thing, you hear like, when Caroline Flack took her life. And ultimately she got cancelled. She had no money coming in. And I don't know the inner workings of it. I wasn't really like a follower of, I didn't watch Love Island back in there, but I knew of her, of course. And then you kind of go, she took her life. Bruv, I wasn't far away. I'm not trying to get all deep about it and, oh my God, suicide. But I think anyone who's going through any kind of anxiety, depression will contemplate kind of going, forget it. Okay, end it. And I never had the balls to do anything, but remember I stood there by the lights and a bus was coming around the corner and I went, go on. Like, lose control. Take me out. Go on, do it. Because you're just so low. And that's me. And I'm an upbeat person. So when I talk about it, it's to say to those people, please just hang in there. I know this is like the worst advice ever. It just fades eventually. You can do things, you can talk to people, you can, go, and I do think going gym helps. I do think working out helps. I do think eating well helps. I do think hydration helps. But put a plan together. Take one thing at a time. Don't try and look at the whole thing. There's many different ways of doing it. Depends on what your situation is and what's caused it. But I swear to you, it does get better. It just does. And you just got to hang in there. But it's like with anything. When you go gym, you just got to keep going. And even though you don't want to go, it's the days you don't want to go that you have to go, that you just must go and get it out of the way. That's where you get your results. It's turning up.
But if there was one thing that you could change, going back to that situation, you could give yourself that advice to move through it more quicker, what would you be?
It's weird though. I think about that because my wife said it to me not so long ago. She goes, you still talk about the BBC. It's still raw. You can hear the way I'm talking now. It still hurts. I'm like, I tell you what it hurts. I was in love with this girl called the BBC, right? We were getting on so good. We were progressing. We were long-term partners, right? And then all of a sudden, her chachi and her masi and her tae all got involved and went, he said this, he said that, da. And I'm going, no. And she's gone, oh, babes, maybe we should take a little break for a bit. Like, wait, all right, if that's what you want. Took a little break and it got worse. She goes, look, it's just too much damage has happened now. We just got to call it a day. I'm like, but for what? Why are we calling it, why is it over? You like me, I like you. We do good things together, right? So I'm a bit like, if I was to rewind time, I couldn't change anything because I wouldn't have seen it. There was nothing that led up to this that made me go, Tommy, you were always treading a bit close to the edge. It was nothing. There's no other situation. In fact, I knew the Sun newspaper contacted some people after the Daily Mail did because they tried to find follow-up stories. Has he mistreated anyone? Has he cheated on his wife? Was he rude to her? And people would ring me saying, oh, by the way, the Sun called or the Mail called or further. And they go, and I went, all right. And they go, we just told him, like, no, he's good. He's a good guy. And that's why there's only one article in the Daily Mail. And all the other articles are talking about the article in the Daily Mail. Or they're talking about the fact that I was sacked. They're not saying what it was. No one's going, he said this. He did that. So then you got to go. Then this is where I go full circle on my negativity to positivity. If you believe in the big man, or if you believe that things happen for a reason, or if you believe there's some kind of plan, then this is all part of it. And therefore, I've got to just play my part of the plan and go, okay, this is the way it is. What have I got to do now? Okay. And I realized by me being at home more, before I had the One Show, the Travel Show, Asian Network, Sunday Morning Live, Radio 2, live events, Comic Relief, Sport Relief, Red Button, comedy events. There were so many things going on just at the BBC alone. Slammed 6-7 days a week. But now all of a sudden, I'm around for my wife. And I realized I'd neglected our relationship. So she was on her own with the kids. And I think a lot of people feel this if they're a stay-at-home mum or dad, that we're like, what's my purpose? What's my life about? So all of a sudden she got to go back to work. She was going gym. She got back into these classes. And it was good for her, which meant it was good for us as a couple. I also got to raise my youngest son, 6 months old, from that age. And my older one who's 4.5, 5, now he's 11, from that age. So my bond with those guys, they come to me like they'll go to their mum, like a typical boy for cuddles. They'll come sit on my lap. And we have this warmth. So then I think, would you change it, Tom? Would you go back and keep, part of me selfishly kind of goes, yeah, I bloody would. Because I wouldn't want to put myself through all that depression, those tears, that ache on your heart, that ache on your brain. But I don't know. I'm hoping still, even though it's 6-7 years ago, I can turn that very negative into a positive. And right now, I'm doing my stand-up. I'm launching my chutneys. I'm doing a couple of quite exciting property projects. I'm doing voiceovers. I do Netflix shows. I've just signed up as a brand ambassador for Kingfisher, the beer. I'm doing their 0% beer, which hasn't been announced yet. So, oops. But they're about to launch that. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for that. It's up to you. Leave it in. Doesn't matter. It's going to be announced very soon. I think they're going to, because they want me to plug it in a couple of weeks. So it's fine. Look, I'm justifying it to myself. So there's that. But I'm also doing the voiceover to their adverts for like a chai spiced liqueur thing that they're doing. So there's loads of things. I've just signed a new agent with loads more voiceover work coming. It's just, so there's enough work going on now. I'm not in one place. I also think when you work for one big organization, whether it be Amazon, Apple, BBC, or anywhere else, you can become what's called institutionalized. You just get used to working in their way. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, it's like I was in a controlling relationship, and now I can see as many production companies as I want. That's it.
Can I ask you a really nosy question? Because there'd be somebody watching this and going, I would like to do what Tommy's been doing, some public speaking, being invited to different events and being on the one show, radio show, this show.
Yep.
Like, what are the payment sort of structures for being part of all of these other people?
Well, okay, so your agent would negotiate. So let's say, you get a yearly contract with the BBC for the radio show. If it's a fixed position like the breakfast show, so they'll do a contract, and they actually then at one point they did it to start with, I think for 6 months when you're starting out. Then a year, then I got an 18-month contract, then I got a 2-year contract. And it was done in like 2-year cycles for the last for the last 2 contracts. It would have been for 2 years. Then you renegotiate. How's it gone? How's he doing? Your agent will go in and go, a little bit more money. So that would be, and then they break it down. So you do 240 shows a year for the BBC. That's on the breakfast show. So I think that works out as 50 weeks of the year. You get 2 weeks off for holiday, and it's freelance. So you get paid per show, however you want to look at it, or you break it down per show. There's that. And then you go to the one show people. Like, I was trying to get into the one show for 3 years.
Wow.
Like emailing from my internal BBC email. No reply. They're on the floor below us. Then I was sitting there and the one show boss went past and someone went, that's the guy you want to speak to. I chased him. Bit out of breath. I'm sorry. I want to speak to you about getting onto the one show. I would love to kind of do some bits and bobs. I'm doing this. We've got the Asian Network breakfast show. And he went, he went, okay, come and see me. And I went, I said, he goes, no, email me. I said, brother, I already have quite a few times actually. And he goes, no, do it again. I'll set up a meeting. So he set up a meeting, you do that. And I remember he sat there like that, just watching me. He went, yeah, this has been a good meeting. His name's Sandy Smith. He was the boss. Right? He goes, yeah, it's been a good meeting. Good meeting. That's how he talks. Really quite minimal. And off he went. And before I know it, I was getting gigs. But then my agent just negotiated a rate, which was less than the radio rate. But I was just like, I just wanted to get in. So you do that. So money-wise, it varies. Weirdly, after I left though, we know the presenter wages are released. The new presenters at Asian Network were getting way more than what I got. I was like, it jumped up by 60, 70%. Wow. So I don't know what happened, but I think there was all that because of the different movements of equality and stuff that were going on. They were bringing wages in line with other radio stations across the... So before it was like, oh, you're Asian Network, you get paid in rupees. But, you're Radio 1, you get paid in
what bracket
big bills.
are we talking about, Tommy?
Oh, you want the money? You want the actual amounts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Asian Network salary, 100 grand a year. In the end, they start you on about 50, 60. 60, I think it was, for 5 days a week. And again, I'd done weekend breakfast. So about 250, 300 pounds. You start about 250, 300 pounds a show, something like that.
One show, was that separate?
The one show, yeah, about 300-400 quid if you were doing a piece for them. Okay. So I would only do, I didn't host the one show. I was out and about. I can't remember, I think it was about 400 quid. But again, you go out, so I do the radio show, finish at 10 o'clock, walk downstairs via the BBC toilets, shave then, right? Because I'd been up since 4 a.m. to freshen up. So I shave in the toilets. The amount of time...
You need to just shave twice?
No, I don't shave twice. I mean, I didn't shave. I could...
Wait, like a brown boy. Like, yeah, I had a shave in the morning. But
yeah, stubble comes back an hour later. No, I actually quite the opposite. I'm the opposite of a brown boy. I don't shave very often because my skin's so soft. Oh. I'm moisturised,
yeah. For a skin sponsor now.
Yeah, right. And I've got a product, by the way, I'm working on. I've emailed them. They sent me some free stuff. And I think they're the ones. They're really good. I tell them, Heath. If you ever get to try Heath shaving cream, bruv, it's outstanding. And I mean that. I've contacted them and said, I think I should endorse your product because it's that good. And I did the same with Skull Shaver, which is how I got into the Skull Shaver adverts as well. But anyway, it's so random life, innit? Yeah. What was I saying? How do we get into what?
We're talking about money.
Money, right? Yeah. So you can negotiate, and then eventually, like Radio 2 would just pay you more. They're like, it's £800 a show, £800. Yeah. And that was me. So I'm thinking, maybe if I had a different agent, you might get £1,000, 1,200 quid a show. I don't know. And then, and because you hear about Chris Evans' wages when he was the host of the Radio 2 Breakfast Show, and he's like a couple of million quid a year or whatever. So he's on a lot more in that respect. But so you kind of negotiate. But then, to be honest, I still think we had that kind of immigrant minority mentality of like, I'm just grateful to be here. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful that you're paying me. Mm-hmm. And don't forget the BBC, they send a car every morning. So a car comes and picks you up because there's no trains running at 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, when you've got to get to the BBC studios, and they want to make sure you're there. Mm-hmm. So they get you a car one way. So the car comes and picks you up at about 4:45.
Yeah.
Gets you in there by 5:15. you get a coffee, slowly wake up, go through the stories of the day with your producers. Then at 6 a.m. you're on air. So you at one point with all the other bits and bobs, you're up to a nice healthy 6-figure salary. That was great. And and bruv, you're doing the things that you love. This ain't work. When I was in the car, the BBC car, taxi, being taken to the studios, and you go past, you see people all gathered at the bus stop, freezing. You feel guilty. And that's why I never spoke about the taxis on air, because I'm like, there are people listening to this show who have caught 3 buses and a train, or whatever they had to do, or walked to get there in the dark, in the cold, in the rain, that I'm going, oh God, I've got to get in a car, I've got to get up. They got to get up earlier, get themselves looking a certain way so they can then go into work. Mm-hmm. Luckily with radio, no one can see you. If you want to kind of just have a hat and a hoodie, you can. Mm-hmm. But we were privileged. It was a good time. And I will always look back on it fondly.
Yeah. So you're probably pulling in about 200, 250?
Yeah, with the other bits of property work then, yeah.
Yeah. And,
a little bit less than that. A little bit less than 200. Just to be honest, just for tax purposes. Just in case they can come back.
You're a bit of an employee mindset of, this is the BBC, this is everything, this is what I'm going to get into. Was you thinking outside of work? Was you thinking, right, I got this money coming in now, and I'm going to start investing or, buying other things and building your own empire up? Or was you thinking to yourself, nah, just gonna live life. Better lifestyle.
I think the BBC was it took up such a big part of your life that was enough to fill your time. However, as you know, as we've spoken to you, all my family are in property, and they always have been in the East End of London in property, and they have been since about the late 80s, early 90s, and then it went whoosh throughout the 90s. A lot of them made a lot of money. They're all at 26, 27. When I went off to university and came back at 23, 24 odd, doing a bit of DJing, getting into property, they're all 24, 25. They're driving Aston Martins because they've bought and sold in Stratford, Plaistow, East London, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And they're buying things at a price, the price of when they were like, houses, 110, 150, 160 grand, selling them for like 200s, or sitting on them and selling them a couple of years later for 300, 400 grand. Those houses are now worth $1 million plus, easily. So the timing was right. I tell them all the time, I said, you guys aren't smart. You're just lucky. You just caught the biggest wave that you could have caught in the 90s in London is property. Over gold, over maybe some website stuff could be up there, but property, you just can't go wrong. You haven't even got to do anything. Get it, buy it, sit on it, leave it, turn it around, make more money. So they were killing it. And so through that influence of like that network of kind of cousins and boys, you then hear, someone would say, "Oh, want to come in on this deal? Look, we're going to buy." All right, so I bought that. Okay. Oh, made 20 grand in like 6 months. Bought a bloody Land Rover. Idiot, right? Should have gone again, but you do that when you're that age. Because I thought, great, I got a nice night again to rock up to clubs in, because I was DJing. I was DJing 5 nights a week. I was also doing quiz television, little bits of voiceover. I'd done the blind date thing that had kind of got me some notoriety, and then so I bought a couple of places, so I had properties like that, but I was like, I knew that, I even said this, the irony. So, there are broadcasts at the BBC that have been there for 40, 50, 60 years. You can be a broadcaster until you're 70, 80 years old, on the radio. So there's, you can carry on doing that as well as doing other little bits of entrepreneurialistic kind of things. So I did have a bit of an eye on the prize for long term, but the BBC that was a thing I loved.
I understand. So that was your employee life. Now you're an entrepreneur. Let's call it that, because you've named so many different things. You're your own man. You're not owned by a company, are you?
No. I can't do that again.
So how has life changed as doing your own tax returns and managing all that side of things, having your own property and working on new projects where you think, actually, there's no cap on this. If I get this right, like the Chat Mayonnaise product, and this goes viral, man, I could be global. Leave our roots.
But then we're all an idea away from that. Everyone's got an idea in their head that they think, oh, if that picks up, if they time that right, if you execute that right, you can smash it and whatever. But it's not really about that, and it's not really about the money anymore as well. Like in that same, it's not straight money. It is about the money, because everything I'm doing is to earn and provide and to live the best life. But firstly, I was self-employed while I was at the BBC, so you were still doing your tax returns and all that stuff there, which meant it was fine because you could run it through companies and then carry on running my company for my presenting work and any public appearances and stuff like that, and then my company work for my properties and stuff like that. So you're used to kind of sitting down with the accountant and getting receipts out and going through everything and work out the best way to do things. So that was normal. But what happens again with depression, with anxiety, with losing everything when you're down to rock bottom is I suddenly sort of started developing like little phrases in my head or whatever, which is just give it a go. And I so my phrase became about 4 or 5 years ago, just give your dreams a go. No more sitting there kind of going, I could do this and I could do that. So now I'm doing everything that I want to do, everything. I love cooking. I've always loved cooking. I'm the cook of the house. I will cook all the meals. My wife will very rarely cook, but that's because I love it, not because I'm trying to be the righteous one or I was one at home. Even when I was on the radio or I was busy, I would do the big meal cooking things. Love that. Love being around my kids. Love hanging out with my wife. So I now want to just kind of go, right, I don't want to do what I did before. I don't want to get the mistake of the BBC where I was mullered, bruv. You get up at 4 a.m. to do the breakfast show, then do the one show 3-4 days a week. And that's what I was saying to the BBC. I said, I don't check these messages. Like, my life is too busy. Plus, I'm trying to be a husband, a dad, a son, a brother, a friend, my property stuff. Oh, I also had the production company at the time. So we were making Britain's Next Top Model for Living TV, Sky Living. We made that for 12 years. So I had the company and I made the music to all the series. So all of those shows, plus Guinness Book of Records, we did crime shows, 50 Ways to Kill Your Lover, all these kind of random shows as well. And I make all the music to the shows and I part own the production company. So there's that, you're popping into the office there, there's conversations there, it's preparing what you're going to do on air, it's filming stuff for YouTube or for the radio show. I don't want to do that anymore. I wasn't working smart in the rich dad, poor dad sense of things. I was poor dad and was just working to earn. And I realized actually a few years ago, I thought, hold on, if I don't work, I don't earn. I am the only way of earning it. So I need, it's all cliche now, I need my revenue streams and all that. I need my passive incomes. So the property thing was always there for that. And that's really, the property is what really allowed me to get through the last 4 or 5 years or so and COVID and everything else. It's given me that, it's given you options. But now I'm just like, I just feel fearless. I can't describe it. I don't care. I don't care what you think, Sean. I don't care what no one thinks. I love chutneys. I'm going to release chutneys. I love this stand-up. I'm going to do it. You don't want to come? Don't come. I can't make you happy. I'm going to stop jumping and doing the dance to please you. I'm going to do the dance to please me. And then I think weirdly what comes from that is people it creates an attraction. Because people go, oh, you just seem so comfortable. We just like your style. We like the way you kind of come across. Even this is a weird example to have him come on my head. Freakonomics, right? In the book Freakonomics, there's that scenario of the prostitute. And you look at your face like, oh, bloody hell, Tom, is all of your references like this? Yes, they are. Welcome to my world. This is why I got sacked. But the prostitute says, oh, she was just like a regular woman. She wasn't like from a broken home or anything like that. Like she goes, I just wanted to do this, as almost like she did it as a career choice. She had a professional job, but she chose it. And then she says, she upped her prices. And then she attracted a different clientele who wouldn't even sometimes have sex with her. They would just take her out for nice meals and dinners. This is a weird analogy, and I don't know if it really connects. It's probably a bad analogy. But in the same way, she upped her prices and created a new version of herself. I don't care anymore. And I've created a new version of myself. I've let go. I'm not desperately trying to get that £300 gig, £500 gig. I'm going, you know what? Don't employ me. It doesn't matter. I've been thrown out the club, but I know me. My wife knows me. My kids know me. My close friends know me. And actually the people in the industry who work with me know me. The girl who found the messages is ringing me up, crying her eyes out, saying, this should never have happened to you. I'm so, this was not intended for that. All of that. So I've got my kind of peace with it. It's fine.
Yeah. Tommy, isn't there a little bit of a balance there? Because you do have a talent, that you can play too. Now, if you aren't funny at all and you go, I don't really care, I want to do funny gigs no matter what, and then you won't get booked anyway. Because there was a previous guest on here, Andrew Roberts, multimillionaire, and he was managing Ed Sheeran. And this was before Ed Sheeran even blew up.
Yeah.
And he's Ed Sheeran said, give me some advice. And he goes, don't think you're bigger than the market, because the market will swallow you up. The market will also know, what they want of you, and you need to give them what they want as well. So where's the balance there?
That's exactly, you've hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly it. I think there's no line, there's no tipping point. There's like a bit of a mushy sort of grey area where you're kind of, and that's kind of what I was saying, again, sorry to bring it back to the BBC for one thing, is I was saying, look, sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes I'm a creative. Where that balance lies on me being me versus me giving the people what they want, or what's right for the organization, or what's right for the times. But the more you do some things, it's like you self-check yourself. When you're on stage and you're doing your thing, you're going through like hundreds of things, like in split seconds in your mind, like, could say this, could say that, could say this, could say that. You could go there, you could go there, you could go there. And you want to, with experience, you want to be able to kind of go, I know where I'm taking this. It's fine. I know not to say that, because that only ends up there. It's like someone, I remember once in an audience, I said to a woman, she was sat right to my left, right, a funny triangle. And every time I kind of looked around that way, she just looked like this. She looked depressed, right? I'm like, okay. I mean, what's your problem? She said, huh? She said, no, I'm fine. And she's there with a friend. And then it came about her husband had passed away a year ago. This is her first night out. She said it. She goes, we've come out for a night out. I went, no, what's the occasion? Why with her? Why with her? Why haven't you come out with your husband? I go, are you married? And she goes, sort of. I went, sort of? What does that mean? And she went, oh, he passed away a year ago. So am I married? I don't know. I was like, and everyone went, ooh, in the room. And you go, shit, where do I go from here? But we've been there before, and you know how to deal with it. And you kind of go, I'm really sorry to hear that. I said, is there an upside? The fact that you're free, you could do your own thing, no controlling husband. How many women here would love to have their husband killed? And went properly out. She was all right with it, because you could see in her eyes, and her friend was laughing as well. And you're reading them, bro. It's like your senses are on, kind of going, is this too far? Yeah. I was in an audience. I talk a lot about my wife and me and my wife and what we're like as a couple and because it's an easy one, and it's one that she won't cancel me for, hopefully. And I said to one woman, I said, "Oh, are you single?" I said, "So you in a relationship?" I said, "You in a relationship?" She went, "That's a bit personal, isn't it?" And I went, "That's personal. I'm talking to you about my bedroom antics, about me and my wife. I've asked you if you're in a relationship, but you just say you don't know what's going to trigger people. And ultimately, like I said, if it comes from a good place, I've got to be me. I've got to be me now, because I'm not going to live my life trying to be someone else. I think if you do, you pop up, later on in life, depressed, anxious, unsure of yourself. And now I'm like I said, I just feel free. I don't care. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do the things I want to do, which is launch my products, or do my stand-up, or put on a great show, or take it a little bit further than the average person would. When I'm at Wembley and I'm hosting concerts, we go out into the crowd. No one does that at Wembley because they get nervous. It is nervous, and people are grabbing you and trying to pull the mic and all that. But I love it. I'm like, let's go.
Amazing. Tommy, look, it's been amazing having you today. I think we've got like 5 minutes left. What is any final things you want to speak about, or you want to give a shout out to for some of the things that you'd like people to look at, what you're offering, or
look, my stuff's out there. Whether I'm doing my thing in my comedy, or like I said, launching Chutneys, which is the big thing for me. Well, it's a new exciting thing. Yes. It's a different way of kind of putting yourself out there. But look, my thing to each and every one, and I'd say this to my kids, I say it to my wife, which is, be true. My comedy has to be true. Even if it's a silly scenario, it has to come from something that I think is funny and I would say. And I think when you're true to yourself, you'll realize things like, you don't need drink, you don't really want to do this, or, what makes you feel good, focus on it. I'll tell you what I heard the other day, which is the thing that's in my mind right now, is that your happiness lies on the other side of the things that you don't want to do. And I think that's so true. I'm like, all the things, like when now, I'm thinking about this podcast, and it's coming up to like midday, whatever. I'm going, right, actually, I've got to go do my paperwork and all that. And I've been putting off this certain lump of paperwork and finance stuff for about 10 days, but I'm in danger of it being too late. So I know there's a service charge on another property, which is, they didn't pay it. So I've got to deal with that. I've got to ring them. And I haven't got around to it. Because I don't want to go around it. I don't want to do that. I want to be on stage. I just want to make people laugh. I want to host shows. I want to be in Dubai with the sun on my back, and then want to do a comedy gig in Dubai. And then I want to be taken out for a nice meal. And then I want, that. but you got to, all those tough things that you got to do in life, I think your joy lies on the other side of it. You're not on your own. There's a lot more that unites us than divides us. And I don't know. I'd say to everyone, just give your dreams a go. That would be my thing. Just take a step. Google that thing that you want to try. Google the thing. Like, I'd love to take Tough Mudder to Punjab. That's my idea. I love Tough Mudder. I've done nuclear races. And I'm like, we've got fields. Why not? The Singhs of like Punjab, and even people from surrounding, all Indians, they love the physical workouts. This is mud sliding around. You're in the bend. It fits so well. It'd be like a little mela alongside it. And I spoke to Tough Mudder. I gave them a call. They went, yep, licensed franchise is available, but we want to see what sports marketing company you're a part of. You think, okay, what's the next step? Got to find a sports marketing company in India with a track record of delivering, which I haven't got at the moment. That's all I got. I'm like, okay, but I've spoken. And then weirdly, through the Bharat Army, who I work with, the cricket fan group, I met some sports marketing people, but they don't really do it, but they might know someone who does. All that stuff. Apple Music India exists. Apple Music do not have an Asian show. If you go to Alexa and you go, Alexa, play Bollywood music, the first song that comes on is Mundi Bach Kare Hi, which pisses me off. I'm like, it's not Bollywood. It's not Bollywood. It's a Bhangra song. And that's why we need diversity in big organizations, because someone's programmed that and went, oh yeah, that's Bollywood. Like, no, it ain't. There's, and if you go, play me Bhangra classics, you say to Siri or Alexa, it's shit. It's just not good enough. Or play me the latest this, play me other songs like that. The algorithm. So I'd want to do more with those companies. I'd want to get inside those, but the walls are up, it's hard. And also I don't have the time, and there's other things going on. And so there's lots I want to do. All I'd say, my advice to wrap things up is give things a go. You're doing your thing. You're doing this. You're doing your property stuff. I think that's incredible. There's a lot to that. Just keep going. Yeah. And eventually you just pop through the other side and you reach a happy place.
Let's take a couple of minutes talking about your podcast.
Yes.
You got a terrific podcast. It looks like it's in your garage.
Yeah, it was part in the garage, part sometimes in the kitchen. It started off in the kitchen 5 years ago, because we've got our 5th birthday party coming up. 5 years of doing it every week. The Brown Load. And we got signed to Sony Music. So we came out of the BBC. Me and the two guys I got sacked with, Kedge and Satch, they were my producers on the show. They went, and then within about, for the first few months when I got sacked, I was trying to get back in with the BBC. I was going, look, this is wrong. And they went, look, we can start to bring you back in the new year, because I got sacked in like September. And I said, well, why would you bring me back if you sacked me? It still doesn't make no sense. They went, no, with a bit of time passing and all that. But it was all just nonsense. And I don't know, it was all just weird, confusing times. But then 1 year later, the Sony Music India said, do you want to do a podcast? We'll set you up. So the three of us, they used us from the radio to do the podcast. So we did it with Sony Music India for a couple of years, the Brown Load. And then we basically realized we play music because we thought, make it like a radio show. And Sony gave us a license. So we were the only podcast in the history of podcasts to ever be able to be licensed to play commercial music. You can't play it because of royalties and all that. You can play your own music. So we had that. But then we actually realized that people didn't want the music because you can stream whatever playlist you want off Spotify, Apple, whatever else, right? So yeah, right. You can do whatever you want. So they wanted to hear chat in the way that we did on the radio. So when we got into just the chat ones, they did a lot better. Then we did the live podcast, that sold out. We did another live podcast a couple of months ago, that sold out. We're doing this party for the 5th birthday. We've got like hundreds and hundreds of people on the guest list for it that have all contacted us. So that's going well. But if I'm honest, bro, coming back to what you said, I think reputationally, there are some people that will go, hang on, these are the boys that were sacked. Like, is that right? Are they wrong uns? Are they not? But if you listen to us, we're just three guys just talking about life. It's not even rude, crude. So it's just not, just how we'd have a little chitter about things in the news, things in the press, things we've seen, things we've learned, things we've seen on television. So that's what the Brown Load, Tommy's Brown Load is about. And it's just, and people, what I love is when people message me and go, oh my God, I'm crying with laughter. You just said this, you just said that. Oh, Punjabi people like this, Gujaratis are like that. And that's what we do. We observe our culture and just reflect it back in a funny, silly way. So yeah, the podcast is going well. Thank you for asking about that.
Amazing, Tommy. So just before you go,
Woo!
I got this specially made for you. It's a pink one. No one else has got this.
Oh, really?
I've got white, black, but I've never done a pink
What
one.
made you think of pink for me?
I don't know. I just wanted to be funny with you.
Yeah, very good. Because real men wear pink. No, I would absolutely wear this. But I also because I thought the Asian Network colours was the pink logo on there.
Oh, is it?
I thought you were being all like, it could be taken.
And I thought I'd
Thank you,
give you
Sean.
something
It's
to
got his name on it.
cover something with your bald head.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at your
snap.
I thought I'd get you a nice snapback, bro.
This is again. I know, right? When you doing this, you having all this lovely merchandise stuff with Sean Land on it on the t-shirt. That you got to go to the snapback company. You got to send them your logo. They need it in a certain resolution format. This is not just like, oh yeah, it's just done, right? You got to find the hat. You got to find the type of hat that you like as well. Why? Why is Sean Land giving out a cap and a t-shirt? It's a little way of, us carrying on. You see this around your house. I might wear it. I might promote it. I'll do a little bit of advertising for it. When I next put it on, you'll see that I'll be wearing my I wouldn't say EA there.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit branding, isn't it? EA Sports, but the EA is like a community, some belonging, and it's the EA from Sean sort of thing. So there's a lot of thought that goes behind it.
Okay,
as well.
one of my best mates, I was best man at his wedding, is the in-house lawyer at EA Sports. I'll let him know about this little adventure you've got here, Sean.
Nothing to do with that. I'm providing a different community over here.
Yeah. I know what yours could be. It could be EA Podcast. It's in the BAME. Because we're BAME, Black and Asian minority. Right? Nobody likes the word BAME, so actually, no, don't use that.
I love that.
But no, thank you, and thank you for the hat and the t-shirt. Appreciate it.
Well, actually, look, a big UFC fighter actually put it in one of his videos. I gave it to him. He was here. He's got 500,000 followers. So whether anyone else saw it or not, he was doing his little dance, and he had that t-shirt on.
Lovely.
I was like, no way, he didn't. This guy was with 50 Cent the week before.
Yeah, look at that.
Never know. You got to buy your lottery tickets.
Well done, Sean. Well done, you, and thank you for taking the time to chat to me.
Well, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that episode. I know I really did. I found out a lot more what goes on behind the presenting world, all of the thoughts, how to, be more confident on, going out there in life and really doing and achieving what you would want. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you leave us a comment. I'll make sure Tommy gets it and we get it answered for you. So until then, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.